The movie ended, and Xu Qing's small wish never came true. In the dim theater, he'd hoped to steal a moment, maybe just hold her hand for a bit. But Jiang, he remained still the whole time, eyes locked on the screen, giving no openings. When the credits rolled and the lights came back on, other couples got up effortlessly, hands intertwined, chatting softly as they exited. They looked so natural. Xu Qing stood too, brushing popcorn dust off his pants, half a bottle of mineral water in one hand and a lopsided bucket of popcorn in the other. Let's go. Popcorn tasted better at home anyway. Less pressure. Still, he couldn't help but wonder, what had Jiang he been thinking? The movie wasn't that intense, was it? It had hit him hard the first time, sure. But Jiang, he didn't seem the type to get emotional over fictional stories. Then again, he had no idea how her mind worked half the time. As they stepped into the cold air outside the theater, Jiang, he finally broke her silence. Do you really like my hand? Xu Qing blinked. Huh. She clutched the stuffed bear he'd won for her earlier, then slowly, almost shyly, extended her hand. You can hold it. Still confused, Xu Qing didn't hesitate. He reached out and gently took her hand. Warm, a little stiff, but she didn't pull away. He glanced sideways. She wasn't looking at him, just slightly down and away, lips pressed tight. Was she embarrassed? Had she been overthinking this the whole movie? That must have been it. She'd gone through some internal crisis while he sat there thinking she didn't like popcorn or romance plots. The winter wind brushed past as they walked slowly, hand in hand. Did you like the movie? Xu Qing asked after a beat, choosing not to prod too much about earlier. Even if she told him, he probably wouldn't understand it. Huh? Jiang, he snapped out her thoughts. Yes, it was good. What was it about? Curing people and then getting arrested. Xu Qing choked on a laugh. I mean, technically, he gave her a rundown. They weren't arrested for curing people. They were selling unapproved medicine. Even if it helped, it broke the law. Jiang, he tilted her head. But if it worked, why is it called fake? It's complicated. Just think of it this way. Doing the right thing in the wrong way can still get you punished. That didn't seem to sit right with her. Her frown deepened. There are over 1 billion people now. Xu Qing continued, shifting topics. You know how many that is? In the Tang Dynasty, there were maybe 40 to 50 million. Now, we're talking 30 Tang Dynasties worth of people. Jiang's eyes widened slightly. That's why buildings are so tall and streets so crowded. We ran out of space on the ground a long time ago. It's also why everything moves so fast. It's very prosperous. Jiang, he said softly. There's a saying, the world is vast and full of wonders. We live in just one little corner of it. There are whole cultures and lives we'll never fully understand. That's what makes the world fascinating, and why I want you to see more of it. He looked over at her. Any thoughts? I don't know how to say it. That's fine, Xu Qing smiled. The more you see, the more you feel. You won't always have the words. That's growth, too. They walked in silence a while longer, and then he added, there's this old story. A bunch of farmers sat by their fields, wondering how the emperor lived. One of them said he probably used a gold hoe to farm rice and ate white steamed buns every day. That's what we call seeing the sky from the bottom of a well. When you don't know better, your guesses are limited to your world. You sound like you're tricking me, Jiang, he muttered. Am I? Xu Qing chuckled. You'll figure it out sooner or later. He brought her hand up, half tempted to kiss the back of it. But halfway there, he hesitated. Better not. She might mistake it for an attack. So he just let it fall back naturally. I've been trying to help you understand this world, he said, voice softer now. Your worldview, your values, and your outlook on life. Your outlook on life is how you find meaning in living. Back then, maybe it was surviving and protecting what mattered to you. Now, it might be learning new things. Your values are your sense of right and wrong. You hate waste, for example. That's a solid value. And your worldview, that's how you see everything. I've been quietly reshaping that. He gave a small sigh. It's going well. You're adapting faster than I expected. But there's still a long way to go. And in that time, it wouldn't be hard to trick you. Then, Johnny whispered, eyes downcast, just trick me. Xu Qing blinked, startled. She wasn't joking. Living in this new world, safe and warm, was better than wandering alone, sword at her side, stomach empty, heart colder than steel. If things could stay like this, the thought terrified her. She shook her head quickly. No, she had to be careful. If Xu Qing ever showed even a hint of ill intent, she'd leave. Second boss would understand. Xu Qing noticed her shake her head and laughed. What now? I'm thinking about how you might be tricking me. She glanced at him, then added, I'm broke, and you won't even accept my silver. Her voice dipped. Her gaze fell to their hand again. This was just her, immersing herself in the world. A temporary role, a reconnaissance mission, she told herself. You brought silver? Not interested. Come back when you've got gold, Xu Qing grinned. Anyway, here's the twist I was talking about. What twist? I like you, he said plainly. Jiang froze. I like you, he repeated, this time squeezing her hand gently. And that means I don't want to take advantage of you. Not while you're still figuring things out. I want you to understand the difference between gratitude and real feelings. When you do, then maybe we'll talk. Jiang opened her mouth, but the words wouldn't come. She was getting used to him teasing her like this. But when he was serious, her heart couldn't keep up. But waiting is hard, Xu Qing admitted, exhaling. I want to be patient, but I also just want to hold your hand, maybe even hug you someday, without worrying I'll get a fist to the ribs. You, she stammered, unsure how to scold him this time. How was she supposed to deal with someone like it? Felt like a long journey, teaching Jiang how to live in this world, guiding her step by step toward independence. Xu Qing had taken on the task with patience, knowing all along that just being close to her would inevitably change her. Even if he never said a word or made a move, the bond between them would deepen on its own. Whether it became love or something more familial, affection like that couldn't be forced or denied. The moment she crossed 1,000 years and ended up in front of him, their paths had already been tied together. As Supreme Treasure once said, it's fate arranged by the heavens. If someday you stop liking me, Xu Qing said softly, I'll take it seriously. I'll let you go, no questions asked. He smiled. But that's a future problem. For now, I think we're pretty fated. I don't like you now either. Jiang huffed, quick to block the emotional opening. Xu Qing chuckled. Do you remember what you were like when you first arrived? That memory was still clear. Jiang soaked by the rain, sword in hand, curled up in the stairwell. Quiet, defensive, exhausted. You were tiny. Wet hair stuck to your forehead. You pointed your sword at me like I was about to poison you. He walked beside her, casually looking for the bus stop. First 2 weeks, you barely spoke. Hoarded food, like a squirrel. I saw you soaking stale buns in water just to soften them up. How? How do you know that? Jiang asked, startled. She thought she'd been sneaky. You really thought I wouldn't notice you sneaking bottled water into the bathroom and coming out looking weirdly proud of yourself? She flushed. I was being cautious. You even faked being illiterate, Xu Qing continued, amused. You took a crumpled project plan out of the trash and studied it in your room. If I hadn't looked up ancient script from the Kaiyuan era, I might have believed you needed a dictionary for simplified characters. I figured it out fast enough, Jiang muttered, a little embarrassed now. And then you suspected I had some grand scheme. Thought I was trying to seduce you into being my girlfriend or something. Xu Qing gave her a sideways glance. You watched me for days, trying to figure me out. Jiang stayed quiet. You were smart, he said simply. Back then, you didn't know anything about this world, so being cautious was the right move. He waved his hand to change the subject. But lately, you've gotten kind of silly. Silly, Jiang repeated, indignant. Yeah, Xu Qing laughed. Back then, you were a little hedgehog. Always alert, ready to attack. Then you started pretending to relax, but you were still sharp underneath. He gently squeezed her hand. But now, ever since I told you I liked you, you've been letting your guard down. He raised their hand slightly and said, half joking, half serious, honestly, I feel like I could trick you into a kiss right now. Jiang stiffened, and she realized he was right. She'd changed. Somewhere along the way, her sword had been replaced with scarves and mittens. Her nights weren't spent standing vigil by the door, but curled up with a hand warmer, browsing game forums. She wasn't just adjusting to this world. She was getting comfortable, She tightened her grip on his hand. See? Xu Qing winced. Easy, easy. That's my dominant hand. Jiang He quickly let go, flustered. I'm not saying it's love, he continued. Could just be dependence. You came here with nothing and no one. I was the first person to help you. It's natural to form a bond, like you did with your second boss. Maybe, Jiang He admitted. Her thoughts were jumbled. Back then, she was calm even when clueless. She faced the unknown with grit. Now, she felt constantly off balance. But it hadn't started with Xu Qing's confession. It started when she began feeling guilty. She wasn't just Jiang He of the Yin Gang anymore. She'd become Jiang He, the girl. She no longer carried darts in her coat. Now it was gloves, snacks, and whatever odd things Xu Qing insisted were useful. Habits are powerful, Xu Qing said gently. But this isn't a bad one. We go out to eat, see movies, shop. Better than sleeping in alleys and fighting over food with your sword out. Right? Jiang He nodded slowly. It is. She looked down the street. Cars passed by. Pedestrians strolled in coats and scarves, laughing, holding coffee, checking phones. So ordinary. So peaceful. Isn't this what your people fought for? Xu Qing said. A peaceful life. If we're spoiled by comfort, so what? Yes. Her voice was quiet. Even a life a tenth as good as this was unreachable back then. So whether it's dependence or love, it doesn't really matter right now. But if you don't figure out soon, he gave her a sly look. I might just trick you into bed. Trick me into? Her body froze, heart leaping. M'chum. Xu Qing smiled as a bus approached. The more I'm around you, the more I like you. I'm not feeling that way yet, but if you keep being this cute, then why say it out loud? Jiang He asked, flustered. Who warned someone in advance about tricking them? Someone who likes them. He took her hand again as the bus stopped. Come on, let's go. As they boarded and found seats in the back, Xu Qing leaned back, letting the lull of the engine pull him into a light daze. Jiang He stared out the window, her reflection superimposed over the city lights flashing past. She wasn't sure how to feel. Safe? Nervous? Warm? Then, after a while, she quietly asked, Does your hand still hurt? Huh? Xu Qing looked down, flexed his fingers. A little. Next time, go easier. Jiang He didn't reply, but she reached for his hand again, this time, holding it gently.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Back at home, Xu Qing didn't keep chatting incessantly with Jiang He, and she didn't turn on her computer to play games. Instead, she clutched the stuffed bear and went to her room, lost in thought. Meow. Winter Melon hadn't eaten all day. When the two of them left early in the morning, they'd forgotten to give it cat food. Now, it was starving and rubbing desperately against Xu Qing's pant leg. Ever since Jiang He arrived, Winter Melon had never been neglected like this. It was always fed on schedule. Hungry, Xu Qing, the instigator, shook the bag of cat food. Meow one more time if you want to eat. Hearing Winter Melon meow incessantly, he finally tore the bag open and poured a generous amount into its bowl. Watching it eat happily, he turned back to his desk, booted up his computer, and logged into his Up account to do some work. He wasn't worried about Jiang He's mood. It was just the usual girl stuff, confusion over feelings. Besides, she was clueless when it came to romance, probably at the same level he was in 5th grade. Back then, he spent his days collecting little raccoon snack cards to complete the 108 Heroes set. The origami stars his desk mate gave him, he promptly handed those to Qin how to play with. Years later, he regretted it deeply. Damn, if I kept those, I could have given them to a girl I liked. Just say I folded them myself. What a killer move that would have been. Jiang He was equally clueless. She felt a natural urge to get closer when she liked someone, but fear held her back. She needed a little push. Maybe if things were spelled out clearly, she'd think it through and end up sneaking into his bed at night. Yeah, right? Dream on. The long winter night descended early. The living room was pitch dark, the only light coming from the computer screen, casting a pale glow on Xu Qing's face. Winter Melon, full and satisfied, curled up near the radiator, which was warmer than Jianghe's lap. Time slipped by unnoticed. It wasn't until after 8 p.m. that Xu Qing finished his work. He had put together a compilation of classic wuxia confessions. The wind and rain have battered us for 500 years from Sword Rain. I want to be with you from Limu Bai, and let's forget each other in the Jianghu from Flying Sword to Dragon Gate. Though winter had just begun, spring was already blooming in his heart. He stood up and turned on the living room light. The apartment was eerily quiet. He glanced at the clock and frowned. Where's dinner? Where's she? Knock, knock, knock. Xu Qing knocked on Jianghe's door. After a moment, she opened it, wearing a sweater, her hair slightly disheveled, eyes still drowsy. Were you sleeping? He asked, surprised. She looked like she'd just woken up. Yeah, I took a nap. Aren't you hungry? Maybe a little. Jianghe rubbed her eyes, glanced at the clock in the living room, and suddenly woke up. Why is it so late? You're not sick, are you? Xu Qing reached out to touch her forehead. Jianghe instinctively leaned back, but stopped herself, letting his hand touch her forehead. I'm just a bit sleepy. I'll go make dinner now. Forget it. You rest. If you're not feeling well, let me know. Drink some water. Xu Qing felt her forehead, decided she was fine, and waved her off. Want noodles? I'll cook 2 bowls. Jianghe rested her hand on her stomach and stayed silent, watching him search for the kettle and turn it on to boil water, then head to the kitchen. If you don't want noodles, I can order takeout. Want some? Xu Qing poked his head out of the kitchen and asked again. Yes. All right, give me a minute. You can lie down for a bit if you want. The kitchen filled with the sounds of pots and pans clanging, water running, and the electric stove beeping as the water boiled. Jianghe hugged her lukewarm hand warmer, plugged it into charge, then sat on the couch, staring blankly at the steaming kettle. What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Xu Qing asked. She was too quiet. That wasn't normal. I feel fine. Meeting Xu Qing's puzzled gaze, Jianghe thought for a moment and said, I just dreamed of second boss. What did she say? Did she tell you to marry me? No. She said potatoes are delicious. Jianghe instinctively reached into her pocket, only to remember her coat was hanging by the door. Her sweater didn't have pockets, so she let her hand drop. Xu Qing chuckled, dreaming about second boss and feeding her potatoes? And then, he asked, and then, she said you're a good person. That's it. That's it. All right then. I just got handed a good person card across 1,000 years straight from the void, and in a dream, no less. Drink some hot water. It helps with stuff. Once the water boiled, Xu Qing poured her a cup and pushed it over. He had a pretty good idea what was going on, but said nothing, heading back to the kitchen to check on the noodles. Nothing I can do to help. Just eat, drink, and sleep it off. Before long, he brought out 2 steaming bowls of noodles, each topped with a poached egg and sprinkled with chopped scallions. The smell was mouth-watering. Want garlic? Xu Qing held up 2 cloves. Noodles without garlic lose their soul. And if one person eats it and the other doesn't, the relationship loses its soul. They either both eat or both refuse. Yes, I'll share one with you. Xu Qing tossed a clove into her bowl, his mood lifting. She likes garlic? Good girl. This stuff leaves a smell, but if we both eat it, neither of us will mind, he said. What's the point if there's no smell? Jianghe slurped her noodles, the warmth driving away the post-nap chill. Her whole body relaxed. Satisfied? No, I mean it makes your breath smell. Isn't that even better? Xu Qing gave up trying to explain. Food was for eating. If Jianghe didn't care, then all was right with the world. They leaned over their bowls, eating with more gusto than they had the grilled meat at lunch. Hunger made everything taste better. They finished every last drop. I'll wash up. You keep resting. Maybe take a bath before bed. Stopping Jianghe from cleaning up, Xu Qing picked up his ringing phone. It was Wang Zijuan. The computer must be ready. Li Gaobo was efficient. If he said today, it wouldn't drag to tomorrow, unless Wang Zijuan had been busy. Hello, Qingzi? You're fast. Sure enough, Wang Zijuan was thrilled. I just ran a benchmark. This setup's way better than my old one. Your friend's awesome. He even hooked me up with some hacks. While Wang Zijuan babbled, Jianghe gave up on cleaning up and went to the computer, ready to play a game. With a belly full of hot noodles, she was rejuvenated. She glanced at Xu Qing on the couch, hesitated, then opened Baidu in a minimized window. Difference between dependence and liking. After a few snowfalls, the coldest days of deep winter arrived. Has that kid asked you for money? Su Wenbin sat on the couch, holding a cup, watching Zhou Suji bustle around the room, tidying up. Suddenly, he asked, "When has he ever asked me for money?" Zhou Suji didn't even look up. "Did he ask you?" "No." "Then why ask?" "I think even if he's short on money, he'd ask how's he first before coming to you." "My colleague, Old Lee, lost big these past 2 weeks. The stock market is a sea of red. I figure that kid's playing the market too, so he's probably not doing great either." Su Wenbin rubbed his thermos cup, clicked his tongue, and plotted aloud. "Think about it. He's got a girlfriend living with him now. You know his nature. He'll insist on covering everything. He's going to burn through his money sooner or later. Can he really make much from those lousy videos? Am I right?" Zhou Suji said nothing. She was tired of hearing it. Su Wenbin had been repeating this for ages. How much money can he have? He'll run out soon. Just wait. Once he's broke, he'll come begging you for money. Don't give him a cent. When he's starving, he'll go back to work obediently. Even now, he hadn't given up. At the slightest sign, he wondered if Xu Qing was on the brink of going broke. "I heard the government is cracking down on that whole live streaming industry. It's about time. His nonsense will definitely be affected too. What's the saying? Ignore an old man's advice, and you'll suffer the consequences. I knew his gig wasn't reliable, nothing for the long term. Isn't he making videos?" Zhou Suji asked, puzzled. "Same thing, isn't it?" "Maybe not exactly. Close enough." Su Wenbin waved his hand. "When he comes over, see if you can figure out if he's broke yet. It's not too late for him to get a proper job. A girlfriend and a job. Getting on the right track would be great. Imagine if he took the civil service exam like Housie. That'd be perfect." Zhou Suji listened to his rambling, but didn't respond. She was already thinking about how to chat with that girl later. Last time went well, but they hadn't talked much. This time, she wanted to get closer. Hearing the sound of keys at the door, she wiped her hands and went to open it before the door unlocked. Outside, Xu Qing and Jiang He stood wrapped tightly in hats and scarves. Xu Qing was bending over, fumbling with the keys. Seeing the door open, he paused, pocketed the keys, and pulled Jiang He inside. "Mom, wow, it's so warm in here. Way better than my place." "Hey, Dad." Su Wenbin acknowledged, sipping his tea while watching Xu Qing help Jiang He remove her scarf and coat. "Hello, Auntie, Uncle." Jiang He greeted them politely, just as Xu Qing had told her to. Su Wenbin and Zhou Suji treated her much better than they treated Xu Qing, even offering her a cup of hot tea. It would circumflex be. Even though he no longer paid rent, Xu Qing still came back once a month for a meal to let them know he was alive and doing well. He also brought Jiang He along to get her familiar with them. That way, when he finally revealed his orphan background, they wouldn't object and try to break them up. Better to be safe. Building relationships first was always a good move. "Are you both free today?" Staying home instead of going out. Xu Qing plopped onto the couch. Since no one poured him water, he helped himself, then picked up an orange, tossing it in his hand. He wanted to eat it, but thought it was too cold, leaving him in a dilemma. "You're calling us free?" Su Wenbin shot him a look. "Compared to usual. Aren't you out excavating ruins, even in the snow?" "Don't be ridiculous." "Well, just take a break then. Mom, what's for dinner?" "Let Jiang He help you." Xu Qing couldn't sit still. After a moment, he got up, checked the fridge, peeked into the kitchen, and tried to find something for Jiang He to do. "Just wait for dinner. It'll be quicker if she helps. Not to brag, but she's a great cook. Super talented. You should teach her a few dishes, so we can make them ourselves later." Hearing Xu Qing babble, Su Wenbin and Zhou Suji exchanged a glance, their eyes saying, "See? This kid loves to show off. You sure you don't need help? If not, we'll just watch TV." Xu Qing turned on the TV, flipped through a few channels, then settled back on the couch and peeled the orange for Jiang He. The initial excitement of being together had worn off over these days. Xu Qing had gotten used to life with Jiang He and Wintermelon the cat. It wasn't much different from before, eating, sleeping, and now When he was free, he'd mess with Jiang He's calluses, playing with her hands. Bringing her home was the same. Apart from not having an ID card, Jiang He was no different from a regular girl. She was quiet and well-behaved, not very talkative. "Are you still messing around with that computer at home?" Xu Wenbin asked, his eyes on the TV, pretending not to notice their little gestures. "Nope, I got a new one to mess with," Xu Qing replied casually. "Is that what I asked?" Xu Wenbin shot him a look, then paused. "You bought another one?" "Yeah, another one." Xu Qing had bought a second-hand laptop from Li Gaobo. After repairing it with some cheap parts, it cost just over 1,000 yuan. It worked as well as a new one worth 5 or 6,000. "So you're set on this nonsense, huh?" "It's called double the side hustle," Xu Qing shrugged. Xu Wenbin snorted, but said nothing. Their usual conflict was about work. Young people, always chasing fleeting pleasures, never thinking about the future. Short-sighted. After a pause, he glanced at Jiang He and, pretending to be casual, asked, "So, Jiang He, what do you do? Do you work on those videos with him?" Last time, he hadn't gotten any answers. This time, he couldn't rely on Zhou Suji getting distracted by a meal. "No." Xu Qing shook his head and nudged Jiang He to answer. "I work on connecting ultra-large-scale integrated circuit microprocessor systems to modems and servers." Jiang He carefully repeated what Xu Qing taught her, to exchange high-speed information with other network users. Xu Wenbin was stunned. After a moment, he nodded, pretending to understand. "Sounds good. Better than this kid." He didn't know what it was, but it sounded professional. "Impressive. Of course, it's really hard work," Xu Qing said seriously, squeezing Jiang He's hand in encouragement. Since that day, Jiang He no longer resisted when he held her hand. As long as he didn't tickle her palm, she'd pretend not to notice, sometimes sneaking glances at him. Xu Qing didn't know what she was looking for. Maybe checking if he was a hand-holding pervert? Whatever. Better than her pulling away. Not a bad thing. "Hard work? What do you mainly do?" Xu Wenbin couldn't help asking. Using a set of numeric and alphabetic keys combined with the display system's coordinate indicators to complete interactive communication with other users through processing and conversion programs. Jiang He said seriously. Her demeanor made Xu Wenbin nod again. He didn't understand, but sounded solid. The younger generation was promising. Jiang He, who had been specially trained by Xu Qing, performed exceptionally well, and in Xu Wenbin's eyes, his impression of her changed instantly. Able to handle the kitchen, and seemingly the living room too, what kind of dumb luck did this kid stumble upon? "What's wrong, Dad?" Xu Qing felt that his dad's gaze was a bit odd. "Nothing. If you've got something to say, just say it. It's nothing. If you want to ask something, just ask. I'll only come back once a month. I'll give you a full explanation." "So, you only come back once a month?" Xu Wenbin glared. "I'm an adult. I'm working outside. Once a month isn't too little, right?" Xu Qing scratched his head. "Except for those who live at home and come back every day, who comes back all the time. I'm just not disturbing you two enjoying your life together." "You." Xu Wenbin opened his mouth, but the words stuck in his throat. He wasn't wrong. This brat coming back was just annoying. It was better if he didn't come back at all, disturbing their lives. But not coming back wasn't right either. Having a son was just a pain in the neck. If he'd known, he'd have had a daughter instead. If it were a daughter, she'd probably be married off to someone in the building across the way by now, saving him the headache. Check out those articles my sister shares on her WeChat feed. I see them all the time when I scroll through my moments. They're pretty good. Xu Qing let go of Jiang He's hand, pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, and said, "I'll share them with you. Look, she posted this the other day. Urgent. The dangers of late-night snacking. Oh, but you two sleep early and don't eat late-night snacks. Here's another one. How to let go when your child grows up. This one's good. I'll send it to you. And this one, can you still discipline your grown child? Let's skip that one." He rambled on, quickly sharing several articles from his aunt's WeChat feed. "I'm telling you, Dad, if my little brother were as handsome and talented as me, with a girlfriend and a job, my aunt would be over the moon. You can't be too greedy, always thinking I'm up to no good." With Grave Thailand bot. "You think you're so great compared to that rascal Shaolin? Why don't you compare yourself to Housie? Who are you calling a rascal? He's just a bit mischievous." Zhou Suji wasn't having it, poking her head out of the kitchen while waving a spatula. Su Wenbin ignored her. Everyone knew what his sister's kid was like. He continued talking to Xu Qing. How's a civil servant now, and he has a girlfriend. Except for being a bit dark-skinned. How is he not better than you? He has a girlfriend? That blind date went fast. Never mind how fast it was. Forget about being a civil servant. Getting into a public institution would be good too. That lousy video thing of yours is unreliable. You might make money now, but can you make it forever? Why do I need to do it forever? Su Wenbin was ready to give a fatherly lecture, but he was stumped. His face darkened, and after a moment of silence, he asked, "So what are you planning to do?" "Go big, go strong, open a studio, start a company, and eventually get it listed. Then I'll be the CEO, and you'll be the CEO's dad, the father of a first-generation rich guy. Think of the prestige." Xu Qing clenched his fist enthusiastically. "Get lost. Come on, Dad, let's be real. Even public institutions aren't lifelong jobs. Work is work. Why rank them? If I join a company with my personality, I'd just be a slacker, eating and waiting to die. How's it any different for now? Why would you be a slacker? Because that's just who I am. You little..." Su Wenbin was about to grab a slipper, but stopped when he noticed Jiang He nearby. "Ugh, people have their own destinies, Dad. Why can't you understand? I'm my own person with my own path. When you two are old and retired, I'll take care of you. I'll give you money and take care of you. Why do I have to join some public institution?" Xu Qing was getting frustrated. "Didn't Mom have my birth chart read before? What did that old fortune teller say? Something about the three nobles. Always striving and competitive, not the type to sit still. Mom, what did he say back then?" "What did he say?" "Right." Xu Qing got up, ran to the study, pulled open the bottom drawer, and rummaged around until he found a big red sheet of paper. He spread it out and looked. The 7 kill star suppresses the 3 nobles, loves indulgence, is competitive, enjoys standing tall, and bullying the weak, with a temperament like a tiger. Whoa, is this really me? He shook his head and walked back out. "Dad, look, it's fate. At my core, I'm not like Housie. You can't force it. Why are you taking a picture of it?" Su Wenbin watched him snap a photo with his phone. "To remember it. I'll show it to my future girlfriend and match our birth charts. I think we're destined for each other, and she believes in this stuff." "Huh, what nonsense. Temperament like a tiger. He was just trying to say you were one step away from being a delinquent, but made it sound nice. Always drinking and picking fights." Su Wenbin sneered. "And didn't I beat that out of you?" "That wasn't you. I just grew out of it. Everyone's young once." Xu Qing reminisced about the days of being whipped with a leather belt, but he felt nothing now. Back then, he probably deserved it. "Anyway, I'm just quietly doing my own thing now. Why can't you accept that? Do you really want me to be some model citizen and get an award at the Jiang City Commendation Ceremony?" "Did I say anything about an award?" "I didn't say anything about an award. I just want you to get a proper job." "You too, give it a rest," Zhou Suji said, coming out with a plate and signaling towards Jiang He with her chin. They were arguing without any consideration for the girl who was still there. Jiang He seemed focused on the TV, but her ears were perked up and her mind was elsewhere. "Have an orange." Xu Qing sat back down and peeled an orange for her, breaking off a segment and holding it up to her mouth. Jiang He, still pretending to watch TV, instinctively opened her mouth and ate it. She chewed, then froze and turned to look at him. "Is it good?" Xu Qing asked. "Sour." Jiang He was a bit dazed. "Then I'll eat it." Xu Qing popped a piece into his mouth, glanced at Su Wenbin, and saw him huff and leave for the study with his teacup. "Another bite?" Xu Qing smiled and asked Jiang He again. If his dad's attitude didn't change, every visit home would be just as chaotic. Games were recognized as the 9th art form, but these people still thought they were a poison. They were out of touch. Jiang He pressed her lips together tightly, hesitated, then, as if under a spell, opened her mouth again when he offered another piece. "Do you prefer sour or sweet?" Xu Qing asked, handing her another segment. "I'm done." Jiang He shook her head, avoiding his gaze and turning away. "You did well earlier, fooling my dad." Xu Qing chuckled, eating the orange himself. The sourness chilled him a bit. Jiang He stayed silent. When he had taught her those things at home, she had asked why it was so complicated. Xu Qing had said it was just in case she realized she really liked him. Thinking of this, she lowered her head, blinking her eyes. Maybe it's almost the end of the year. When the new year comes, I'll bring her over to celebrate here together. After sitting on the couch for a while, Xu Qing got up and went to the kitchen to check how the food was coming along. He also wanted to give Zhou Suji a heads up, lowering his voice and gesturing towards Jiang He, who was sitting on the living room couch. Together for New Year's, Zhou Suji was a bit surprised. She's not going home. Didn't I tell you last time? She's all alone. Where does she have a home to go to? What? Zhou Suji paused with the spatula in her hand, frowned, and asked, You weren't joking last time? Of course not. She's my girlfriend. Isn't it good to bring her here for New Year's? Otherwise, she'd just be alone at my place, eating instant noodles. While we're here eating dumplings and watching the Spring Festival Gala, she'd be boiling hot water all by herself. So pitiful. All right. It's just New Year's. No big deal. Just bring her over. Zhou Suji was impatient. That's settled then. After a brief pause, she called out to Xu Qing, who was about to leave the kitchen. You two. What's your situation now? Boyfriend and girlfriend. I brought her here to meet you. What else could it be? You live together, every day? Pretty much. Zhou Suji was silent for a moment. She wanted to say something, but didn't know how to put it, so she just asked, Do you have enough money to support a girlfriend? Yeah, if I have a girlfriend, I'll figure out a way to earn more. Don't worry. Xu Qing even bought another computer for this reason. If Jiang He wanted to play games, one computer between them just wouldn't be enough unless one used it during the day and the other played all night. You two just live your little life happily. If I really can't make ends meet one day, I'll let Dad find me a job. I'm still young, so I want to try doing something I like. No need to worry so much. Xu Qing added, You can also help convince Dad when you have time. So, you didn't know to let him help you find a job? Zhou Suji shot him a sideways glance. We're family. It's just that he doesn't understand me. Xu Qing shook his head. Sure, getting a job arranged for me is fine, but I'm still young. I want to try doing what I like. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. Even if it turns out he was right, and I fail at everything, at least I'll know and accept it. Otherwise, if I just settle down now, do you think I'd be content? In a few years, when I'm older, I won't have the freedom to do what I want. By then, it'd be too late for regrets. As long as you know what you're doing. Zhou Suji glanced at Jiang He, who was sitting obediently on the couch, and felt reassured. Don't mess around. Whatever you do it properly. Your dad just doesn't want you to end up like your cousin Xiaowen at your aunt's house. Hand me that plate. Anyway, having a girlfriend to keep you in check. She just keep you in line, right? She does. Good, then take this out. The fragrant stir-fried pork with garlic scapes was brought to the table by Xu Qing. Zhou Suji continued working in the kitchen, not wanting to be in the way. Xu Qing returned to the couch to watch TV with Jiang He. What's this? At some point, Jiang He had changed the channel. This is a flat-screen TV, Jiang He said. Yeah, it is a flat-screen TV. Xu Qing teased her and didn't ask further, leaning on the couch and playing with her hand. Her hand was smooth, with nothing unusual about it. He couldn't figure out how she had so much strength. Could it be inner energy? Jiang He's eyelids twitched, but she didn't react, as if nothing had happened, continuing to watch TV while sneaking glances at Xu Qing from the corner of her eye. This guy really liked fiddling with her hands. Is this what liking someone is? If it were Second Boss playing with her hands, ugh, Second Boss would never have such a weird hobby. She thought about this while listening to the clanging sounds from the kitchen. Suddenly, she turned Xu Qing's arm towards her. Xu Qing tilted his head. What are you doing? Let me see. Jiang He looked seriously at Xu Qing's hand, thinking about what she liked about him. His hands were a bit big, with clean, neatly trimmed nails. The palms were thick and sturdy. Not very interesting. You like playing with my hands, too? Xu Qing was puzzled. Was she reading his palm? No. Jiang He let go of his hand and tossed it aside. Then what was that for? Xu Qing spread his hand out and looked at his palm. The lines were ordinary, nothing special. Do you know how to read palms? No. All right then. I thought all you wanderers knew a few tricks. As night gradually fell, the scent of food filled the living room. The two useless members of society sat on the couch, waiting for dinner and watching people on TV fly around and fight. Xu Qing had asked her if the scenes resembled her past experiences. Her answer was a definitive no. Wielding a sword meant killing enemies, not clashing blades for hours before flying off. The blades would get dull. No weapon could take that kind of abuse. Plus, after a fight, swords had to be cleaned. Just shoving a dirty blade back into the sheath would make it stink, disgusting. But thankfully, those days were behind her now. After mooching a meal off his parents, Xu Qing didn't say much. Su Wenbin, who had been brooding in the study all day, was ready to lecture him. But seeing Xu Qing and Jiang He together at the table, he held back. As much as he hated to admit it, this kid wasn't the same as before. D*MN, he even understood some things better than his old man. Dad, you two get some rest. We're heading back. After washing the dishes, Xu Qing didn't linger. He grabbed their coats, ready to leave. Not staying a bit longer? Su Wenbin asked. No, it's getting late. He helped Jiang He put on her coat, adjusted her scarf and hat, and made sure she was wrapped up against the cold. What's this? Zhou Suji noticed a round object that had fallen to the ground and rolled a little. She picked it up curiously, a potato in her coat pocket. For a second, she thought Xu Qing had swiped it from the kitchen. She's missing earth in her 5 elements. Carrying this is like a protective charm. Xu Qing took it and tucked it back into Jiang He's pocket. Missing earth and carrying a potato? Zhou Suji was baffled by this logic. That's literally down to earth. Yep, it works well. Her luck's been great. Xu Qing was making stuff up. He couldn't exactly say it was to keep her from suddenly zipping back 1,000 years. Though history so far suggested Jiang he wasn't going back. If she liked carrying it, so be it. Zhou Suji he shook her head. She couldn't understand these young people's quirky ideas. Next time, I'll fry some potatoes for you. Maybe eating them works better. Great, she loves potatoes. Xu Qing grinned. Thank you, Annie. Jiang He awkwardly tried to bow, copying what she'd seen on TV. Her hat flopped down over her face, making Zhou Suji laugh in surprise. This girl was so nervous, just like when she had met Xu Qing's grandma back then. All right. It's dark out. Be careful on the way. Okay, we're off. Xu Qing called out and led Jiang He out the door. Zhou Suji stopped at the doorway, watching them head downstairs. She sighed. They really did look good together. She just hoped they wouldn't run into any big conflicts. This was good enough. What is liking someone? Liking someone means you can't help wanting to be close to them, to possess them, and to give to them. When you see a beautiful piece of clothing, you want to buy it and make it yours. That's the simplest kind of liking. Outside, the cold wind howled, carrying icy snow particles that slipped into collars and cuffs. The two of them walked downstairs, sleeves drawn tight, chatting as they strolled along the path in the residential complex. What if you can't afford it? If you can't afford it, then work hard to earn enough money to buy it. That effort itself is a form of giving. When it comes to liking someone, possession and giving should be equal. If you only want to possess but aren't willing to give, that's not really liking. If you've worked hard but still can't afford it, you shouldn't steal or rob. You need to be content with yourself and consider whether stealing it might damage or ruin it. Xu Qing exhaled a long breath of cold air, turned to look at her, and smiled. That's why I don't want to lie to you. I want you to decide for yourself. If you don't like me, I'll let you go as long as you're okay. If you only want to give but not possess, that's just being a simp, not real liking. I think you're lying to me. Jiang He glanced at him. It's not that simple. If he didn't want to possess, why did he keep holding her hand all the time? Ugh. Xu Qing was speechless. After a pause, he said, being willing to be lied to is also a kind of liking. I'm not. I was just talking about this in general. I didn't say you were. Jiang He didn't reply. She shrank her neck in her collar, walking slowly beside him, deep in thought. She had been thinking about this for days. Now that she was almost certain, she started wondering exactly what it was she liked. What was it? Was it him blow-drying her hair? Answering her endless questions? Roasting meat for her? Cooking noodles in the kitchen? Or She tried to think of something concrete. She felt like there had to be something she liked about him, just like how he liked her hands. Or maybe she liked everything about him? No, she didn't like when Xu Qing said weird things like having 5 kids. Ugh, stop thinking about that. Jiang lowered her head and let out a soft hum, which left Xu Qing puzzled. Why was she humming while they were walking? That was creepy. What are you thinking about? Nothing. Jiang shoved her hands deeper into her pockets and clenched her fists slightly. Hearing the faint crack of her knuckles, her gaze fell on Xu Qing's arm. It was so cold that Xu Qing didn't reach out to hold her hand. He just kept his hands tucked into his sleeves. She thought back to the feeling of being led by the hand. Her eyes flickered, and she quietly looked away. Maybe she liked being led by the hand? The north wind howled, making the night especially cold. They walked half a step apart toward the complex gate. Xu Qing was lost in thought, oblivious to Jiang's inner turmoil. In the darkness, an electric scooter slowly entered through the main gate. A low humming of a song accompanied it. Without looking, Xu Qing knew who it was. "Are Nigerian Irio Bai. Just got off work?" He greeted and glanced at Jiang, extending his arm to hold her. "Huh? You guys heading back?" Qin Hao's humming of boundless oceans, vast skies was interrupted. His rickety scooter stopped in front of them, squinting under the street lamp. He raised an eyebrow when he saw Jiang. "A high school girl, huh? Where else would we go if not home? Want us to drop by your place?" Xu Qing grinned. "Let my girlfriend see where you live." "You've met Qin Hao before," he said to Jiang. Jiang didn't say anything, just nodded. She thought this chubby guy wasn't a good person. Last time, he even tried to investigate them. "Get lost." Qin Hao tugged his collar, giving up on staring at Jiang. "You messed up my blind date. Now you want to mess with my dad too. Didn't you already meet someone? That was fast. Fast, my asterisk. Forget it. It's freezing. I'm leaving. Bring her out to meet us sometime." Xu Qing called. Qin Hao waved as he drove off, wobbling on his scooter. "Meet someone? Yeah, right. They were just fooling their parents, grabbing a cheap meal together, taking a picture, and then going their separate ways." He couldn't let Xu Qing know that, though. If he did, Xu Qing would definitely tattle to Qin Maokai right away. Once Qin Hao was out of sight, Xu Qing let go of Jiang's hand, shoved his hands back into his pockets, and quickened his pace. "It's freezing today. Let's walk faster." The weather seemed like it wanted to snow, but it didn't. The wind blew fine snow particles that felt like needles against their faces. After a while outside, you just wanted to bury your face in a scarf. "I should buy a mask. Is love great?" Standing at the street corner waiting for a cab, Jiang's words turned into visible puffs of cold air before the wind whisked them away. She felt strange. The old bookkeeper from before was a pedantic scholar who often sighed about life. According to him, the admiration between men and women was beautiful, like the ancient poem Guan Guan Jiu, or something about mutual understanding. She couldn't quite remember. But whatever it was, it definitely wasn't like what she was experiencing now. Two people freezing in the cold night, holding hands, feeling oddly moved. It wasn't beautiful at all. Jiang stared at the street lamp, feeling like something was off. But it was still fascinating. "Of course love is great. Why do you keep asking about this lately?" Xu Qing asked. Was the little lady waking up to romance? Aside from gaming, she was probably obsessing over this now. That was good. Better than thinking of sneaky escape plans. "How great is it?" Jiang ignored his question and pressed on. "It transcends life and death." "What is love that binds beyond life and death?" "I don't believe it. Because you haven't seen it." "Okay, I haven't either." Xu Qing thought for a moment and said, "Maybe not life and death, but it's special. Like if we had only one steam bun and we're both starving, I'd give it to you." "I wouldn't eat it." Jiang shook her head. "Fine. If you liked me, you'd give it to me." Xu Qing said, "That's only fair." Xu Qing was speechless. "What do you think love feels like?" he asked. "I don't know, but you mentioned partnering up for life. Do you want to partner up with me?" "I wasn't thinking that, just asking." Jiang continued staring at the street lamp. "To partner up, you need to like the person. Liking can turn into love. All those stories of love at first sight are just based on looks. Only by getting to know each other can you connect on a deeper level. That's love. What does it feel like? A kiss might help you understand. Xu Qing, feeling mischievous, tease, want to try. Jiang, he gave him a "you're an idiot" look. Do I look that easy to fool? I just want to see if you'd willingly let yourself be deceived. Xu Qing didn't think it'd be that easy to steal a kiss. Even if Jiang, he was silly enough to close her eyes and say, "Go ahead," he'd still seriously consider whether he'd get punched in the face. A taxi with its roof light on approached and stopped in front of them. They opened the door, got into the back seat, and relaxed a bit as they felt the warmth of the car, taking off their hats. Jiang, he kept her hands in her pockets, gently rubbing the surface of the potato with her fingers. This potato had been washed very clean. She always carried one in her pocket and replaced it with a freshly cleaned one when it felt like it was about to spoil. Neither of them spoke during the ride. When they got home and turned on the living room light, Jiang, he finally took the potato out of her pocket, placed it on the table, and stared at it in a daze. "Have you ever thought, what if I suddenly went back?" she asked, her eyes still fixed on the potato. "If you went back, you'd be set. You'd grow potatoes, and as long as the credit wasn't stolen, you'd probably go down in history and be rewarded with a title like a wealthy landlord. I'm talking about you." Xu Qing, who was sitting at his computer, turned around and saw her expression. He hesitated, not knowing how to respond. "Wouldn't your feelings be wasted?" Jiang, he asked. Back then, he couldn't even hold her hand, let alone anything else. "Feelings are irrational. I can't just stop liking you because you might leave." "Well, if I really go back?" "You probably won't. But what if I do?" "All right, what if?" Xu Qing got up, nudged Wintermelon aside, and sat across from her. After a moment of thought, he said, "Let's not dwell on how unlikely that is. Even if you really do go back, how does that conflict with me liking you? Doesn't it matter?" Jiang, he wasn't sure, but something felt off. Liking is liking. Love is love. Living together is living together. He continued, "I like you, so I want to hug and kiss you. You can say no, but if you agree, I'll be very happy. If you suddenly disappeared during this time, I'll miss you and hope you have a good life 1,000 years ago. This time we spent together would be a beautiful memory. Even 20 or 30 years later, I'd still remember you, wondering if it was all a dream or a fantasy, but I'd still be happy. If you like me too, and we're in a relationship bonded by love, and then you suddenly vanish, I'd be heartbroken. I miss you constantly and might take a long time to recover. Maybe I'd never fully get over it and would have to settle for someone else. That would be painful, but I wouldn't regret it." You wouldn't regret it?" "Yeah." Xu Qing nodded. "Because that's beyond my control. I can only accept it. But if you can't go back, and I held back my feelings just because you might leave, only to find out you're staying, that would be the real regret." Jiang, he frowned, staying silent. Live in the moment. Thinking too far ahead is pointless. No one knows if you'll leave. Right now, I just want to hug you. Xu Qing reached out and brushed a stray strand of hair behind her ear. "It's fate. Are you lying, or just being a scoundrel?" Jiang, he didn't move, letting him tuck her hair back. "If you didn't hit me, then it's not lying. It's called flirting." Xu Qing picked up a little bear from beside the couch and handed it to her. "If you want to hit me, go ahead." Jiang, he stayed quiet. After a while, she asked, "Which of your words are true and which are lies?" "Why ask that? You've got me so used to your teasing that it feels normal now." She squeezed the little bear. "Before, I definitely would have hit you. Does it really matter if I'm lying or not?" Xu Qing asked. "Doesn't it matter? What matters is what you want. If you don't want it, you can still refuse, like grabbing my hand and snapping it." "I don't want to grab your hand." Jiang, he shook her head. After hesitating, she added, "In fact, it feels nice." "That sounds like liking." Xu Qing thought back. "Before, when I did this, you'd blush, thinking I was teasing you. That's a sign of liking, too. If you didn't like me at all, you'd just feel annoyed, not embarrassed. Not being annoyed is the foundation for feelings. Wasn't that you deliberately leading me on?" Jiang, he asked. "There was some deliberate teasing, and some unintentional. We see each other every day, and since I like you, I naturally do things to make you like me more. Like grilling meat for you. I feel happy when you eat well. And your ultimate goal? To make you my wife." Xu Qing stated bluntly. When a peacock shows its feathers during courtship, it's to attract a mate. Love works the same way. I just want you to know that I'll treat you well. You're shameless. Yep, I'm shameless. You're a scoundrel. Yep, I'm a scoundrel. You. Jiang He gritted her teeth, squeezing the little bear hard. Suddenly, she leaned forward and bumped her head against Xu Qing's chest. Puffed. Cough, cough. Xu Qing's chest tightened from the impact, and he coughed hard. Why cough? Did you suddenly attack me? I didn't attack you. Jiang He seemed like she wanted to bump him again, but stopped when she saw him clutching his chest. She kept a straight face and stood up, heading to her room. She didn't want to actually hurt him, so one bump was enough. Are you washing your hair tonight? If not, I'll just shower and sleep. Xu Qing rubbed his chest and called after her. Good thing she hadn't practiced iron head technique. No. With that, Jiang He closed her door. She sat on the bed, holding the little bear. Instead of hitting it again, she just squeezed it gently. She used to think their relationship was just one of helping and being helped. But ever since Xu Qing confessed, saying that gratitude is gratitude, and feelings are feelings, she had started reevaluating their relationship, trying to see it from a different angle. When Xu Qing held her hand, she kept observing him and herself. Even though she didn't want to admit it, she was now sure she wanted to stick with Xu Qing. She just needed to be a little sillier. Jiang He's eyes flickered, and she rubbed the little bear's head. But having 5 children was going to be tough. Xu Qing sat in the living room for a while, feeling a headache coming on. He let out a long sigh. That was a bit reckless. It wasn't just Jiang He who was confused, he was too. He needed to calm down. If she liked him, she liked him. If not, then not. Getting bumped on the chest wasn't exactly a clear signal. What was this girl thinking, anyway? The next day, early in the morning, Xu Qing woke up rubbing his chest, feeling a bit off. Jiang He had headbutt him like a little calf last night. Even after a whole night, his chest still ached. Morning. Morning. They greeted each other as usual. Like always, they practiced martial arts separately on either side of the door. One practicing sword techniques, the other holding a stance. Their expressions were normal. Maybe after a night's sleep, she'd come to terms with it? Xu Qing pondered this while running through his stances, watching Jiang He finish her sword practice with a sharp swish and a calm exhale. But instead of putting the sword away, Jiang He walked over with a sheathed sword and smack. Tapped it against his leg. Stand up straight. Hiss. Xu Qing inhaled sharply. Crap. Here comes the revenge. Hands flat. Hey, hey. Hold it. Jiang He maintained a stern expression as she corrected his crooked stance. Then she tossed the sword aside, turned, and went to wash up. With the toothbrush in her mouth, she occasionally glanced sideways to make sure Xu Qing's posture was still correct. When Xu Qing finally finished holding the stance for 15 minutes and was about to rest, Jiang He, now finished with her morning routine, walked back over. I'll teach you some boxing. No, I don't want to learn. Xu Qing shook his head vigorously. No, you don't want to learn. Jiang He said seriously. Don't you want to build up your health? Holding the stance is good enough. It's very effective. No need for boxing. If you learn boxing, you can fight back when I hit you. You won't have to worry about me beating you. Jiang He tempted him. No, no, no. I never hit you. I'm not learning. Xu Qing remained firm. Yeah, right? At her level, even if he learned, he'd still be the one getting beaten up. This is called Tang Quan palm boxing. It mainly uses palm techniques combined with grappling, punches, and kicks. It focuses on the 3 points and 6 harmonies. The 3 points are beta. Jiang He ignored him, stepped back slightly, took a breath, and executed a swift downward palm strike. Grappling. Her palm transformed into a claw. Leg. Bang. She stomped her cotton slippers on the floor with a loud thud, startling Xu Qing. Was that a threat? It was definitely a threat. Okay. I'll learn. He hurriedly surrendered. But I haven't eaten yet. It's better to practice after a full meal. And my chest still hurts from last night. Let's start tomorrow. Jiang He thought for a moment, then nodded and retracted her stance. Fine, I'll teach you tomorrow. She turned around, shuffling into the kitchen to prepare breakfast for the two of them. Xu Qing worried about her hitting him, but if he learned some martial arts, maybe he'd be tougher, Or, who knows, maybe Xu Qing had hidden talent. If he became stronger than her, he wouldn't need to trick her anymore. He could just force her, and she wouldn't be able to resist. You need to practice hard. Jiang, he reminded him. Wait, about last night. You hit me pretty hard. My chest still hurts. Could it be an internal injury? Xu Qing rubbed his chest, leaning against the doorframe. I didn't use that much force. Jiang, he looked puzzled. If that wasn't much force, how's your head? Doesn't it hurt? As he spoke, he reached over to lift her hair and check her forehead. Does it hurt? No. Jiang, he swatted his hand away and glanced at his sore chest, hesitating to say more. All right, you cook. I'm heading out later. For lunch and dinner. I'll contact you on the phone. If I'm coming back, I'll let you know in advance. If not, I'll let you know too. He hadn't gone out much in the past 6 months. He'd even turned down several invitations from Wang Zijuan. Now, with the end of the year approaching, gatherings were becoming more frequent. It wouldn't look good to keep skipping them. I bought a copy of Maoist Fundamentals. You can read it when you have time. Don't push yourself too hard right now. Once you understand everything, there are plenty of ways to make money. After breakfast, Xu Qing changed his shoes and reminded her while getting ready to leave. Jiang He, now full, was already sitting in front of the computer, grinding away in a game. After leveling a few characters, she'd study Pinyin, browse the web, and catch up on the news. If there was enough time, she'd watch the movies Xu Qing had prepared for her. Is that it? Her eyes landed on the package someone had just delivered. Yes, a book. Xu Qing finished getting dressed. Before heading out, he came back to give Jiang He's hand a quick squeeze, then left satisfied. I'm off. Don't open the door for strangers. The lunar month wasn't halfway through yet, but the residential complex was already brimming with festive cheer. Uncle Zhao, the security guard, was directing some young men to hang colorful flags along the pathways, a cigarette between his fingers. Cheng Yulan was standing with a little girl, watching the decorations and occasionally helping to straighten them. Su Ji, the little girl, sharp-eyed, spotted Xu Qing walking by with his head tucked against the cold. Hey, Xiaoyan, you're here? Xu Qing greeted her with a smile. What's Annie busy with? Cheng Yulan, having just helped cut a strip of flags, laughed. Nothing much, just helping out. Heading out. Yeah, just going for a stroll. He reached out to ruffle the little girl's hair. Is Xiaoyan staying here for New Year's? No, just here for the winter break. We'll go back for New Year's and come back after. Sound good? Xu Qing nodded. You two enjoy. Bye, Xiaoyan. Bye, Suji. The little girl waved enthusiastically. Her name was Shi Yin, quite a mouthful. Cheng Yulan, her grandma, loved it though, saying it sounded like a TV star's name. A star, huh? At Wang Zijuan's place. The rich kid was still in bed when Xu Qing's call woke him up. Open the door. Coming. Wearing only shorts, Wang Zijuan scrambled out of bed. He opened the door to find Xu Qing bundled up tightly. What do you want? Check your chat history. Xu Qing waved his phone impatiently. Get dressed now. Wang Zijuan smacked his forehead as he remembered. Come in. Give me a minute. No adult content in there, right? Hell no. I've been single for a while. Hearing that, Xu Qing finally stepped inside. He glanced around the living room and smirked at the pink computer setup. You call this early? I got dumped. You never check my posts. Who scrolls through that nonsense? The self-proclaimed social media king was speechless. He grabbed his wallet, phone, and watch, then called out, let's go. Living alone had its perks. No need for goodbyes or breakfast prep, unlike Xu Qing. Women are devils, man. Look at me now. Wang Zijuan shivered as he stepped outside. I regret everything. I swear, I'm turning over a new leaf. Wait, where's your car? Xu Qing interrupted. He come to catch a ride, so why was Wang Zijuan walking? Gone. Wang Zijuan shrugged. Had a fight with my old man. Now I'm broke, just like you. Let's take a taxi. Wait, it's pretty far. Let me check. Wang Zijuan glanced at his phone. Let's take the subway. Poor folks gotta live poor. Want to lend you some cash to get by. Xu Qing headed towards the subway station. Teach me how to survive a month on 10 grand in this city. Get lost. The two joked and laughed all the way to the subway. Money or no money, they may do. This wasn't the first time Wang Zijuan had been broke. He'd once crashed at Xu Qing's place, surviving on instant noodles for half a month. No big deal. The subway was crowded as usual. They moved in, grabbed the handrails, and waited for the train to start. Ever heard of Hunyuan Xingyi Taiji Quan? Lightning five-strike whip? Wang Zijun recognized it. Expert, huh? Xu Qing gave him a thumbs up. You've all got it wrong. I practiced it for 2 days, and it actually works. You should try it. Bullsh asterisk T. Wang Zijun snorted, his eyes darting sideways. What are you looking at? Xu Qing asked, puzzled. She looks familiar, like one of my exes, Wang Zijun whispered. I am your ex. The girl, having overheard them, snapped in fury. Wang Zijun was embarrassed. Xu Qing turned his head away expressionlessly, pretending not to know him, leaving Wang's pleading gaze unanswered. What a coincidence, Wang Zijun greeted awkwardly. I knew you looked familiar. The girl fumed. Just familiar. Wang Zijun's eyes darted around. I'm a bit face-blind, you know, but I do remember you're great at drawing. He noticed a corner of the drawing board peeking out from the bag she was carrying. Oh, the girl's anger eased a bit. You still remember that? Of course. Anyway, enough about that. How have you been? Pretty good. Eating well, staying fit. You don't look so great, she said with a smirk. Yeah, not so great. Wang Zijun lowered his head. Taking the subway now, even bragging wouldn't work. Where are you off to? The girl changed the topic, pursing her lips. Going to meet up. You. I'm heading to Dada Hui for some shopping. I ordered some watercolor supplies from a store there. Wow. You need a reservation for that? Pretty fancy. Wang Zijun nodded. Going alone? Xu Qing, who was standing nearby waiting for the drama, was stunned. These two were actually chatting? Weren't exes supposed to snipe at each other with sarcastic remarks? Wang Zijun, the rich kid, was riding the subway, and the girl just dismissed him with a casual, you don't look so great? And what was with that look in her eyes? Xu Qing quietly shuffled away to give them space. They say a day of marriage leads to 100 days of grace. Who knows how many days of grace these two shared? Assuming an 80-year lifespan, that's over 20,000 days. They probably had half a lifetime's worth of feelings. Even if they broke up, the sour scent of a past romance lingered. Feeling bored, Xu Qing pulled out his phone and clicked on Jiang, his penguin account, graceful dancer. Her profile space was filled with random photos, birthday cakes, and silly shots of Wintermelon the cat. But those were old, with no updates for a while. She had only uploaded those pictures when Xu Qing taught her how to save and post them, finding it novel at the time. Some things are impossible to refuse. Loneliness, memories falling for you. This cheesy line was clearly something she copied from Baidu and pasted as the top comment on the message board. After a while, you go ahead. I'll come by at noon. Got something to do. Wang Zijun whispered sneakily to Xu Qing. What? Xu Qing was confused. Ha ha ha. S asterisk asterisk asterisk. Jia complex. Jiang He, busy grinding levels in a game, noticed a message pop up in the corner of her screen. Some things are impossible to refuse. Loneliness, memories falling for you. She frowned and clicked on it, seeing Xu Qing's annoying Doraemon avatar staring back at her, just as irritating as he was in person. Oomph. She sat cross-legged in her chair, dazing off for a moment. Stretching lazily, she got up, tossed some clothes into the washing machine, and glanced at Xu Qing's room. She pulled out her phone and sent him a WeChat message. Nigeria Naira Omicron yes. Wanted to wash your clothes? Yes. After seeing his reply, she went to grab his laundry and found a familiar pair of straw shoes on his nightstand. Didn't she throw these away? She froze for a moment, picked them up for a closer look, and confirmed they were the pair she had once worn. She returned to her computer, staring at the message board and the straw shoes in her hand, her expression shifting. This guy, even liked her shoes? The subway reached its stop. Xu Qing got off alone, his silhouette radiating loneliness and bleakness. Two people got on and one got off. His phone buzzed with a message from Wang Zijun. I'll be there by noon. I don't think you'll last that long, Xu Qing replied with a smirk. Just as he was about to put his phone away, a message from Jiang He popped up, asking if he wanted his clothes washed. His mood brightened immediately. Life wasn't all about taking hits. There was also a girl willing to wash his clothes. Whoever said class reunions were for drinking, boasting, and either flaunting success or suffering humiliation was right. And sometimes there was even a bit of rekindling old flames to fulfill youthful dreams. But that was for later. For young people who had just entered society, meetups were still simple and clean. Just a chance to eat, drink, and have fun together. After graduation, everyone felt a bit reluctant to let go of those friendships. They met up to escape the grind of life and relive the purest, most beautiful moments of their school days. Some satisfied their egos, others vented their frustrations. They exchanged feelings and advice, ending with a "let's keep in touch" before going their separate ways into society. Xu Qing used to enjoy that, drinking and chatting with friends, killing time, then hitting a karaoke bar or pool hall for a second round. At the end of the day, he'd stumble home, fall into bed, and sleep it off. Staying home all day got boring. Humans were social creatures. After all, having someone to talk to, or even a brawl with someone like Liang Zi, was better than sitting alone. But things felt different now. Unlike before, he wasn't excited to drink and toast. As soon as he sat down, he wanted to leave. "Come sit over here," a friend called. "You're late. Almost noon now. A few more people are still on the way." "That's early enough." Xu Qing glanced around the table. He had thought about finding Liang Zi and giving him a beating. Last time, he held back because Jiang was there. But now the urge faded. It felt pointless. Besides, Liang Zi wasn't here. Wang Zijuan ran into his ex halfway and went off to get a room. He'll probably be late. No way, seriously? Rich people, man. We poor folks wouldn't get it. What about you? What have you been up to? You vanished for a while. Someone even asked about that handsome guy with the great singing voice. I was off the grid. Xu Qing clinked his glass nonchalantly. I've been swamped doing this and that every day. Not like you guys, always free. I'm not free. I've been working like a dog. It's the end of the year, and I can't even relax. Worked until midnight yesterday and still had to crawl over here to drink with you losers today. Crawl over here? Show us how, someone shouted. Screw you. Drink up. Anyway, as more people arrived, the atmosphere heated up. A few drinks in, and the place was buzzing. Amid the clinking glasses, laughter, and chatter, Xu Qing quietly swirled his drink, watching it all with a detached air. A feeling of being out of place. This had never happened before. It was like Jiang, he was a meteor that had smashed his monotonous life to pieces. It felt like a long journey, teaching Jiang he how to live in this world, guiding her step by step toward independence. Xu Qing had taken on the task with patience, knowing all along that just being close to her would inevitably change her. Even if he never said a word or made a move, the bond between them would deepen on its own. Whether it became love or something more familial, affection like that couldn't be forced or denied. The moment she crossed 1,000 years and ended up in front of him, their paths had already been tied together. As Supreme Treasure once said, it's fate arranged by the heavens. If someday you stop liking me, Xu Qing said softly, I'll take it seriously. I'll let you go, no questions asked. He smiled. But that's a future problem. For now, I think we're pretty fated. I don't like you now either. Jiang, he huffed, quick to block the emotional opening. Xu Qing chuckled. Do you remember what you were like when you first arrived? That memory was still clear. Jiang He, soaked by the rain, sword in hand, curled up in the stairwell. Quiet, defensive, exhausted. You were tiny. Wet hair stuck to your forehead. You pointed your sword at me like I was about to poison you. He walked beside her, casually looking for the bus stop. First 2 weeks, you barely spoke. Hoarded food like a squirrel. I saw you soaking stale buns in water just to soften them up. How? How do you know that? Jiang He asked, startled. She thought she'd been sneaky. You really thought I wouldn't notice you sneaking bottled water into the bathroom and coming out looking weirdly proud of yourself? She flushed. I was being cautious. You even faked being illiterate, Xu Qing continued, amused. You took a crumpled project plan out of the trash and studied it in your room. If I hadn't looked up ancient script from the Kaiyuan era, I might have believed you needed a dictionary for simplified characters. I figured it out fast enough. Jiang, he muttered, a little embarrassed now. And then you suspected I had some grand scheme. Thought I was trying to seduce you into being my girlfriend or something. Xu Qing gave her a sideways glance. You watched me for days, trying to figure me out. Jiang, he stayed quiet. You were smart, he said simply. Back then, you didn't know anything about this world, so being cautious was the right move. He waved his hand to change the subject. But lately, you've gotten kind of silly. Silly, Jiang, he repeated, indignant. Yeah, Xu Qing laughed. Back then, you were a little hedgehog, always alert, ready to attack. Then you started pretending to relax, but you were still sharp underneath. He gently squeezed her hand. But now, ever since I told you I liked you, you've been letting your guard down. He raised their hand slightly and said, half joking, half serious. Honestly, I feel like I could trick you into a kiss right now. Jiang, he stiffened, and she realized he was right. She'd changed. Somewhere along the way, her sword had been replaced with scarves and mittens. Her nights weren't spent standing vigil by the door, but curled up with a hand warmer, browsing game forums. She wasn't just adjusting to this world. She was getting comfortable. She tightened her grip on his hand. See? Xu Qing winced. Easy, easy. That's my dominant hand. Jiang, he quickly let go, flustered. I'm not saying it's love, he continued. Could just be dependence. You came here with nothing and no one. I was the first person to help you. It's natural to form a bond, like you did with your second boss. Maybe, Jiang, he admitted. Her thoughts were jumbled. Back then, she was calm even when clueless. She faced the unknown with grit. Now, she felt constantly off balance. But it hadn't started with Xu Qing's confession. It started when she began feeling guilty. She wasn't just Jiang He of the Yin Gang anymore. She'd become Jiang He, the girl. She no longer carried darts in her coat. Now it was gloves, snacks, and whatever odd things Xu Qing insisted were useful. Habits are powerful, Xu Qing said gently. But this isn't a bad one. We go out to eat, see movies, shop. Better than sleeping in alleys and fighting over food with your sword out. Right? Jiang, he nodded slowly. It is. She looked down the street. Cars passed by. Pedestrians strolled in coats and scarves, laughing, holding coffee, checking phones. So ordinary. So peaceful. Isn't this what your people fought for? Xu Qing said. A peaceful life. If we're spoiled by comfort, so what? Yes. Her voice was quiet. Even a life a tenth as good as this was unreachable back then. So whether it's dependence or love, it doesn't really matter right now. But if you don't figure out soon, he gave her a sly look. I might just trick you into bed. Trick me into? Her body froze, heart leaping. M'chum. Xu Qing smiled as a bus approached. The more I'm around you, the more I like you. I'm not feeling that way yet, but if you keep being this cute, then why say it out loud? Jiang, he asked, flustered. Who warned someone in advance about tricking them? Someone who likes them. He took her hand again as the bus stopped. Come on, let's go. As they boarded and found seats in the back, Xu Qing leaned back, letting the lull of the engine pull him into a light daze. Jiang, he stared out the window, her reflection superimposed over the city lights flashing past. She wasn't sure how to feel. Safe? Nervous? Warm? Then, after a while, she quietly asked, Does your hand still hurt? Huh? Xu Qing looked down, flexed his fingers. A little. Next time, go easier. Jiang, he didn't reply, but she reached for his hand again, this time, holding it gently. On the night when the stars move in the sky, my fate has already been set. The person she disliked returned, humming a song and reeking of alcohol. Jiang, he wrinkled her nose in distaste. She knew this guy had been out drinking. Whether it's fate or calamity, it's all up to me. With you by my side, no one can harm me. Xu Qing walked in while taking off his coat. One sleeve was still stuck when he reached out and hooked a finger under Jiang He's chin. Jiang He blinked in shock, stunned by his audacity, and didn't react. What a delicate little beauty you are. He threw his coat onto the couch with a pia, his head wobbling a bit as he set a bag down on the table. Jiang He found his sequence of actions odd. Why not put the bag down first, then take off the coat? How much did you drink? Maybe just a tiny bit too much. Xu Qing collapsed onto the couch, rubbing his forehead. It's really kicking in now. He usually drank a lot, but today he only took a sip whenever his friends insisted. He shouldn't have gotten this drunk. But since he was so quiet, his friends probably thought he was in a bad mood and gave him extra attention. Winter was the season for Baijiu, and after a few more drinks than planned, he ended up downing nearly half a jean. The cold wind outside had brought the alcohol rushing to his head, making it hard to walk straight. But it's fine. I'm still very sober, he said with half-closed eyes. Jiang glanced around for her little bear plushie. Realizing it was in the bedroom, she was too lazy to fetch it. So she rubbed her chin with the back of her hand and asked, "What's that?" She pointed at the bag on the table. "Ribs, big ribs. We can stew them tonight or tomorrow. Let me tell you, if we stew these tonight and don't finish them, reheating them tomorrow makes them even tastier. The first and second servings have different flavors and textures, each delicious in its own way. Oh, you still want to eat tonight? I'll just have some soup." "All right." Jiang picked up the bag of ribs and put it in the fridge. When she turned back, she saw him sprawled out on the couch. "Why don't you just go sleep in your room?" "I'm not sleeping. I'm just resting for a bit." Xu Qing didn't move, eyes closed. Only after he heard her footsteps patter back to her computer did he squint one eye open and look at her. Gee, this girl didn't know a thing about dating. She only thought about living together like partners. If he was only looking for a casual relationship, she'd probably tear him apart like a roast chicken. Living together? He blinked, staring at her straight back, lost in thought. "What's Jean Ping Mei?" Jiang suddenly asked. "Jean Ping Mei? Well, it's..." Xu Qing was about to explain when he jolted up from the couch. "What the hell? This? Wait a sec." Xu Qing leaned over, took the mouse, and cleared the download history in Xuanlei. Then he lay back down on the couch. All right, it's gone. He hadn't expected Jiang to start checking his download history. He racked his brain, wondering if there was any other private stuff he hadn't hidden well. "Why did you delete it?" Jiang asked suspiciously. "This fell off. I didn't delete it. Just hid it. That movie is too deep. It's about destiny, karma, endless tragedy. Jean stand for Pan Jinlian, Ping is Li Pinger, and Mei is Pang Chun Mei. It's their tragic life stories. You wouldn't understand it now. We'll watch it together later." Xu Qing spoke solemnly. "But you deleted it." Jiang frowned. "Why not just say you don't want me to watch it? I didn't delete it, just hid it. We'll watch it later." "Oh, okay. We'll watch it together then." "Yeah, together." Xu Qing smiled. Watching her awkwardly fiddle with the computer, he put his arms behind his head, crossed his legs on the couch, and stared at the ceiling, lost in thought. The room was silent, except for the occasional tapping of the keyboard and the soft clicks of the mouse. Before he knew it, he had fallen asleep. Outside, the sky gradually darkened. Jiang turned on the living room light and glanced at Xu Qing, who'd promised to just rest, but was now snoring away. She walked over, thinking about moving him to his room. After trying and failing, she realized she couldn't move him without waking him up. So, she grabbed a blanket from his room and covered him. Standing up straight, she let out a long breath. Looking down at her slippers, she suddenly felt shy. She clenched her fists and hurried into the kitchen to cook some noodles. As the water heated up, she peeked out again. After a moment of hesitation, she reached out and flicked his chin with her finger. When he murmured in response, she scurried back to the kitchen. Wang Zijuan only stayed at the club for a short while. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. He'd planned to deal with his ex-girlfriend later, but now he couldn't wait any longer. That woman was cunning. She hadn't touched his watch, phone, or gold chain, just took his clothes. All his clothes inside and out. Was she afraid he'd call the police? Was he the type to call the cops? If she'd stolen his watch or phone, he'd have let it go. She was an ex. After all, taking a loss wouldn't kill him. But now? No way. She was just messing with him on purpose. He couldn't let this slide. His pride couldn't take it. Sitting outside the door, Wang Zijuan pulled out his phone and scrolled, trying to figure out how to track her down. Before she took his clothes, he'd been racking his brain, trying to remember why they broke up. Honestly, she was pretty, an artist with a nice vibe and decent looks. But that personality, yeah, it was definitely her personality. Finally, He found a breakup post in his WeChat moments. He scrolled through the comments and made a call. Hey, I need to ask you something. Do you know a girl named Xiaowei who paints? Xu Qing woke up to the smell of delicious noodles. Opening his eyes, he saw Jiang He sitting at the table, slurping noodles with her back to him. On her computer, the old movie Farewell My Concubine was playing, with actors singing in a high-pitched tone. No ribs. Hearing his voice, Jiang He slurped up a long noodle and turned around. No, we'll cook them tomorrow. I didn't know you'd wake up so early. I made porridge. It'll be ready soon. The big pot of porridge was a trick she'd learned from Xu Qing. Cook it at night, heat it in the morning, super convenient. Plus, it gave Xu Qing something to fill his stomach with now. Oh, porridge sounds great. Perfect. Xu Qing shook his head, stood up, and the blanket slipped off him. He glanced at Jiang He, said nothing, and smiled as he took the blanket back to his room. In this world, if you don't listen to opera, you're not human. See, cats and dogs don't listen to opera, do they? A voice drawled from the movie. Jiang He took another bite of noodles and asked, Do you listen to opera? No, who listens to... Wait. Xu Qing paused and looked at her computer screen. Was this girl calling him a dog? Farewell, My Concubine depicts the story of that era. Even though it's so distant from now, the customs and the sense of change in the times carry an indescribable feeling. Xu Qing slurped his kanji, occasionally picking at some pickles, watching alongside Jiang He until the end, where Cheng Ji drew his sword and ended his life. An era, a story. The performances in these kinds of plays are outdated, just like Kung Fu. Hardly anyone dedicates themselves to it anymore. And even if they do, there's no real future in it. It just becomes a niche art form, a piece of cultural heritage. To put it simply, times have changed. He let out a sigh, not even sure why he did. Watching movies like this always touched something deep inside him. That's why he loved watching films, and why he loved being an content creator. A good movie can stay with you for years, even a decade, making you want to watch it again. Jiang He watched the credits thoughtfully. She didn't understand it as clearly as Xu Qing, but the clash between eras conveyed itself through the screen. Understanding the plot didn't matter. That is the power of art. Human joys and sorrows might not connect, but art creates a bridge of empathy. Times have changed. Jiang He sighed as well. Xu Qing glanced at her. Hearing those 4 words from her felt oddly strange. What does men fear night escapes mean? Jiang He asked, ignoring his surprise. A night escape is like a kiss. It's something men fear the most. If you ever get annoyed with me, you can just... Xu Qing trailed off, seeing Jiang He's fist clench. It's just a play, he relented. Giving up on teasing her, he collected the bowls and chopsticks and headed to the kitchen. There's also yearning for worldly desires. It tells the story of a young nun who falls in love and leaves her temple to chase after a man. It's a great play, but I doubt you'd get it. These performances demand solid fundamentals. It's a one-person show where there's no scene change or break. You can't even sneak a drink of water. Drink too little before going on stage, and you're thirsty. Drink too much, and you're desperate to pee. Once you're on stage, you just have to power through. If you can pull it off, it means you've truly mastered your craft. Whether you become famous, though, depends on luck. That Night Escape play is about Lin Chong, the Panther Head. He was around hundreds of years before you and me, escaping to Liangshan in the snow. That master in the movie just sang Night Escape before his death. You can imagine how hard it was. Xu Qing shook the water off his hands as he came back out. Drinking the kanji made him feel better, lifting his mood. Tang Song Yuan Ming Qing. That movie was set in the late Qing and early Republican era. Just look at how much things changed. We're even further apart from that. It's wild. Thinking about Lin Chong felt distant, but looking at Jiang, he made it feel oddly close. If one day he stumbled upon Lin Chong outside, well, at this rate, he'd do nothing but pick up strays. The power of time is unbeatable. Things that were once unforgivable are now commonplace. Things people used to enjoy might now be considered crimes. He tossed out the thought and headed to the bathroom with his pajamas, leaving Jiang He to her thoughts. After every movie, she liked to ponder for a bit. That was good, it was better than not using her brain at all. The longer Jiang He stayed here, the more she thought about the past, the present, and the future. As her understanding grew, she realized how precious it was to have a place to belong. She remembered wandering the streets with her sword when she first arrived. If it hadn't been pouring rain and keeping people indoors, someone would have noticed. If she'd stolen food out of hunger, she'd have been arrested. The more stable society was, the more dangerous it had been for her in the beginning. If Xu Qing had acted differently that day, things could have turned out very differently. She sat cross-legged on the couch, inspecting the rough patches on her hands. She scratched at them with her fingers, then looked towards the bathroom. Times had changed. Maybe what second boss said was outdated, right? When Xu Qing came out, he saw Jiang He wrestling with some inner dilemma, her hands nearly twisting together. What are you thinking about? Nothing. She stood up casually and walked straight into her room, closing the door behind her. Go shower. It's nice and warm in there, not cold at all, Xu Qing called after her. Okay. Hearing her reply, Xu Qing sat at the computer, moving Wintermelon aside. He clicked around aimlessly, hearing the door open and Jiang He's footsteps heading to the bathroom. He checked his Baidu search history. Empty. Thinking he'd made a mistake, he closed it and reopened it. Still blank. She learned to clear her history. He glanced towards the bathroom, a bit surprised. 10 minutes later, the bathroom door opened with a soft creak. Xu Qing stayed in his lazy sprawl on the couch and looked back. Jiang He no longer dressed neatly after her showers. She wore an oversized pajama set, tilting her head to let her hair fall to one side. She held a towel in both hands, drying her hair. The hem of her pajama top revealed her smooth calves, and she shuffled towards him in cotton slippers. As she got closer, Xu Qing noticed her cheeks were flushed from the steam, droplets of water clinging to her forehead. She looked nothing like the fierce woman who could snap trees with a single blow. What are you looking at? Jiang He muttered, a bit uncomfortable. Instead of handing him the hairdryer, she plugged it in and started drying her hair herself. If you couldn't crush me with a single slap, I might be committing a crime right now. Huh, too bad there's no what if. Xu Qing didn't move, closing his eyes instead. The hairdryer whirred to life. Jiang He sat in a chair, drying her hair. A sudden thought crossed her mind. If I were a weak girl with no fighting skills, what would you have done back then? Called security to send you home. Why? Because some people dress in ancient costumes these days. If you hadn't thrown that dart, I'd have thought you were just a lost girl. Jiang He felt a bit guilty about destroying his TV when they first met. Just because of that dart, and the broken straw shoes showing your toes, and your aura, your eyes, your expression, it all added up. That dart was just the trigger, but an important one. Without it, I'd have just thought you were weird. Xu Qing recalled their first meeting. Normally, I wouldn't have trusted you. But with all those odd things combined, and that dart, I just acted on impulse and let you in. If I'd had time to think, none of this would have happened. You holding a sword was pretty terrifying. Jiang He glanced at him while drying her hair. So if I'd been weak, you might still have let me in, but then handed me to the police? No, to security. Then they'd give you to the police. You wouldn't have thought of committing a crime. I'm not a criminal. Xu Qing snapped. Forget it. You wouldn't get it. 3 years minimum, he muttered. Only an idiot would do something like that. Jiang He stayed silent, the sound of the hairdryer filling the room. They each drifted into their own thoughts. Being alone together in a room was something they'd gotten used to. Everything was innocent and pure. In the stairwell, they met for the first time. Just one glance at Jiang He, and Xu Qing was doomed for life. After a long while, the figure lying on the couch let out a deep sigh, unable to suppress the little spark of fire in his heart. Talking? That was never going to be just talking. If he truly broke into Jiang He's heart, she'd have to be carried into his home in a big red sedan chair. Otherwise, the scene of the heavenly sword piercing his chest would likely play out in real life. Jiang He fiddled with her hair, replaying his words from just now, lips pursed in silence. Jiang? Xu Qing sighed deeply, turning his head to look at Jiang He, who was sitting on the stool. Seated there, Jiang He had a graceful figure, Even the oversized pajamas couldn't hide her delicate curves. Her slender legs, her narrow waist, they all made him impulsive. An impulse that could last a lifetime. He closed his eyes again, reflecting on whether he truly liked her, or if it was just the novelty of finding her, her adorably clueless demeanor, or his craving for her. Stripped of everything, did he still like her? He didn't hear him speak again. She turned around to check and saw him lying sideways on the couch, as if he had fallen asleep. Only his fingers tapping the edge of the couch gave away that he was awake, lost in thought. Jianghe, he called out. What do you feel about me? What do I feel? Jianghe's fingers slowed in her hair. I don't know. I thought you'd say nothing. Xu Qing chuckled, propping his head up with his arm, finding a more comfortable position to lie in. For you, life here is good. The experience I've given you is better, compared to before you came here or when you were wandering outside. This stable life is a rare blessing, right? Yes, it's good now. Jianghe couldn't deny it. She even noticed she'd gained a bit of weight, her face rounder, no longer the skinny figure she once was. But actually, this life of mine isn't much out in the real world. You lack exposure, so you think I have everything. It's like when I was a kid. I thought my parents had endless money because they could buy whatever I wanted. Back then, all I wanted was snacks and toys, so I assumed they had it all. Growing up, I realized they weren't exactly poor, but they still had a budget for groceries and picked the right days to buy meat. Far from what I imagined. He nodded to show she was listening, though his eyes were still closed and he couldn't see her. So she just murmured at him, I'm getting off track. You're in a similar position now. There's so much you don't understand yet. Eventually, you'll become like me, a modern person. Whether it takes 3 years or 5, you'll see the truth. In your era, from when you remember until now, it's been just over a decade. Your environment shapes you easily. He stayed silent. She had already changed a lot. Her memories faded a little more each day. In the early days here, she'd wake up in the middle of the night confused, instinctively reaching for her sword. Now, she could sleep until morning, then get dressed to practice and cook. When that time comes, you'll find the world is vibrant. You'll see I'm just an ordinary person. In this society, I'm not exactly at the bottom, but I'm nothing special either. Xu Qing spoke calmly. These days might feel important to you now, but in the span of a lifetime, it's just a small interlude. After a pause, he finally opened his eyes to look at Jianghe, who had stopped drying her hair. Don't you have anything to say? Say what? Jianghe asked. I just want you to know, other than being handsome, I have nothing else to offer. Xu Qing shook his head, smiling. If I trick you into being with me, I'll be robbing you of countless better possibilities. That's selfish of me. And if we do end up together, if life turns out disappointing, you might look back on now and resent me. Jianghe thought for a moment, her expression a little strange. You're just an ordinary person? Yeah. Then what about me? She asked. You. Xu Qing blinked, momentarily confused by her question. I'm alone. I have nothing. Without you, I wouldn't even be a regular person. Jianghe put away the hairdryer and turned to him. Why are you saying all this? Why? Xu Qing stared at the ceiling. Yeah, why? People are complicated. I've always said I like you because I was bored and spent all day with you, a girl. Other than helping you adapt, what else could I think about? Right? A normal relationship is fine, but you're different. If I did something to you, you wouldn't let it slide. You'd want to spend a lifetime with me. But in the end, I'm still young. After liking you, when I think deeper about spending life together, I get lost or scared. His eyes drifted to the glimpse of her pale legs under her pajama hem, her fair ankles resting in fluffy slippers. I just liked you at first. Now I realize I crave you more and more. It makes me think twice. A moment of impulse could be fun, but the consequences are serious. Right now, I'm very impulsive. He had been a carefree little fool, but deeper thoughts took away his joy. He followed his gaze, looking down at her slippers. The little bear pattern made her wiggle her toes, making the bears puff up. This guy, he was staring at her shoes again. Your alcohol hasn't worn off. No, I'm sober now, just a little confused. Xu Qing shook his head. I was just wondering whether to go on. Should I take it one step at a time, trick you first and figure the rest out later? Or what? Xu Qing stared at the ceiling in silence. When Jiang he was about to ask again, he rubbed his chest and changed the subject. That hit you gave me really hurt. It's still aching. Jiang he's eyelids twitched. Did she use that much force? It really hurts. Could you give me a massage? Xu Qing asked. What kind of massage? For injuries, isn't it called pushing the channels? Just rub it. Maybe it'll help. Xu Qing shifted on the couch, making room for her. It really hurts? Jiang he eyed him skeptically. Yeah, you know how strong you are. Like a bull charging into me. Then, Jiang he fiddled with the hem of her shirt, hesitantly, sitting down. Here. Yeah. Xu Qing groaned, undoing one button on his pajama top. The button's digging in. You can avoid it. Jiang he pursed her lips, turned her head, and placed her hand on his chest. The warmth beneath her fingers made her heart pound. Xu Qing sucked in a breath. Whether it was from pain or something else, who knew? Does it hurt? Jiang he quickly pulled her hand back, nervous. No. Xu Qing took her hand and put it back, sighing softly at the cool touch. Her small hand, when relaxed, was so soft. Catch up to her. Catch up to her. The words echoed in his mind. About what you said just now. Jiang he looked away, her voice tentative. Does that mean you don't want to trick me anymore? Or was it something else? What do you mean? Xu Qing opened his eyes. And no reason. The living room fell quiet again. Jiang he sat on the edge of the couch, stealing glances at him while her hand gently rubbed his chest. There's a saying, Xu Qing murmured after a while, tilting his head down to look at her hand. What is it? All the encounters in this world are just reunions after a long parting. All the encounters in this world are just reunions after a long separation. Xu Qing caught a faint whiff of the fragrance beside him. It was coming from Jiang he, a fresh scent of body wash and shampoo, mixed with something warm and pleasant. All the people you meet and the things you experience are what you're meant to encounter. It was all destined long ago. This day, this moment, this scene, all of it is the result of your past actions or influenced by your personality. When you came here, the first person you saw wasn't me. Before me, you went out for a walk, lingered in the stairwell for a while, and even ran into Aunt Sheng on her way home. But ultimately, we still met, lived together, and shared meals. That's fate. He raised his hand, trying to touch Jiang He's long hair that draped behind her. Instead, his hand landed gently on the back of her hand. This has everything to do with our past experiences. If I were a cold-hearted person, a stubbornly honest man, or a cheeky little punk, it would have led to a different outcome. Us being here now is the culmination of countless small events. If we could go back to that stormy day when I first met you, saying, finally, you're here, wouldn't feel out of place at all. Jiang he carefully recalled that day. I just asked you, if I were a helpless girl with no strength to fight, things would be completely different, Xu Qing replied. Jiang he was silent for a while, looking down at her slippers. So, what then? What do you mean, what then? You've been going on for so long. What are you trying to trick me into? Xu Qing froze. Was I too blunt? Jiang he reflected on herself. Is that really the problem? Xu Qing felt half of his drunkenness evaporate. Then what is the problem? Jiang he asked. Drop the word trick, Xu Qing said. He'd been thinking all afternoon, took a nap, had dinner, and thought some more. He finally faced his impulse and the potential consequences, rambling on thanks to the alcohol. He even considered whether time travel would damage his body and make him infertile. And this is what he got? Xu Qing took a deep breath, inhaling Jiang He's faint scent, closed his eyes, and reached out to pull her into his arms for a hug. But Jiang He didn't budge. He opened his eyes and met Jiang He's gaze. Awkward silence spread between them. What are you trying to do? Jiang He looked at him with a strange expression. For someone who practiced martial arts, standing tall and upright, it really wasn't easy to just collapse into someone's arms. Nothing. Nothing at all. Xu Qing stood up, slid off the couch, and said, I drank too much. Hold on, I'm going to the bathroom. Jiang He watched him shuffle off to the bathroom in his slippers, then looked back at her shoulder. Maybe she should have leaned into his pull? She blinked, realizing too late. The carefully built atmosphere of ambiguity was easily shattered. Feeling a bit exhausted, Xu Qing walked out of the bathroom. He glanced at the mirror above the sink. The person inside looked back at him, with tilde new beta. He unbuttoned his shirt and touched his chest. His mind was still foggy. He splashed his face with cold water to clear his head, leaning on the sink and scrutinizing himself. It felt like he was just one step away. The rough touch of Jiang, his palm on his chest, lingered. If she wasn't interested, she wouldn't have done something so intimate. But that dense little head of hers didn't know how to express it, maybe out of shyness or just pure cluelessness. Xu Qing couldn't figure out what she was thinking, but he could sense the change in her. "You're still here?" Xu Qing dried his face and came out to see Jiang. He's still sitting there. It was already past 10 in the evening. "Yeah, I'm going to play a bit of a game." Oh, the atmosphere was completely gone. He grabbed his laptop, sat on the couch, and got to work. He had just watched Farewell, My Concubine, and he hadn't finished writing the review. No matter how old the movie was or how many people had seen it, if he decided to do something, he'd do it seriously. Even if no one read his writing, it was good practice and helped grow his account. No skyscraper rises from flat ground. Everything is built step by step. Jiang, he logged into the game, but didn't play. She checked the auction house prices as Xu Qing had taught her, noted them down, then closed the computer and leaned closer to see what Xu Qing was doing. In the bright living room, the only sound was the clack of the keyboard. Xu Qing focused on typing, pausing now and then to think, try to ignore the faint scent next to him. Tease a guy and not follow through? This girl was trouble. What's the point of doing this? Jiang, he finally asked after watching for a while. If I do it well, I can make money. If not, it kills time. Better than doing nothing. Hearing the word money, Jiang, his eyes lit up. Can I do it too? You didn't study literature, Xu Qing replied, still typing. You only know how to absorb things, not express them. Like how you can't express that you like me. What did you think of that movie we just watched? The times have changed, Jiang, he said. And, think it over. Teacher Su will guide you. Xu Qing chuckled and continued writing. He wrote about Duzi, about Chengdie, about the connection between opera and real life. Some say movies extend human life by threefold, and there's truth in that. They make people think and view life from different perspectives. Even heroes fall short. Lin Chong did, and so did the conqueror. With Jiang He and Wintermelon by his side, Xu Qing poured his thoughts into the keyboard. There's more to expressing yourself than just words. If you don't know these two characters, you won't understand the meaning, like the real and false conqueror. You won't even think about it. That's why you need to read more books. He stretched and finished the article. Turning to Jiang He, who was petting Wintermelon in her pajamas, he felt that urge rising again. Do you like reading? Yes. I like looking at you too. Jiang He blinked, sensing something mischievous in his smile. Can I give you a hug? Xu Qing asked. Why would you want to hug me? To satisfy me. When Jiang He didn't respond, Xu Qing reached out, pulling her and Wintermelon into his arms. Soft warmth filled his embrace. He let out a long sigh. Remember when I explained fake medicine to you while writing that review? Jiang He pursed her lips, feeling his warmth, and quietly closed her eyes. I remember. Merchants chase profit. That's not a bad thing. Profit is the greatest motivator. Breathing in the scent of her hair, Xu Qing whispered, I chase profit too. I want you. So for you, I'll become a gentle man who can hold up a home. Before Jiang He could react, he let go, stood up, and smiled as he brushed her hand. Good night. Sleep early. There were no grand speeches or passionate declarations. Xu Qing simply said a sentence offhandedly, but by the next day, he was already preparing. He placed a few bank cards on the table and did the math. Altogether, he had just over 40,000 yuan in savings, accumulated since his university days. No debts, no negative assets. His credit card was never used. He just paid the annual fee on time. He had once thought of canceling it, but figured it might come in handy in an emergency, so he kept it. Most of the 20,000 yuan in the stock market had already been withdrawn, leaving only a few thousand behind. Thanks to Jiang He, his few months of staying here had unknowingly made him yearn for stability. It was a strange mindset, but by sheer luck, he had pulled out most of the funds over the last 2 months. He managed to avoid the winter bear market, only getting stuck with a few thousand yuan. As an up-creator, his monthly income was around 4,000 to 6,000 yuan. On good months, he could almost reach 5 figures. On bad ones, just 2,000 to 3,000 yuan. He knew he needed to increase his output and keep a regular posting schedule to attract active followers and stabilize his income. If he could reach 100,000 followers, he could take on ads worth around 1,000 yuan and also earn creative incentives. Xu Qing leaned over the desk, writing and thinking, occasionally adding another point. His movie reviews were still in the early stages, generating no income. If he wanted to take it seriously, he needed to increase his output and speed, as well as ride trending topics to catch attention. But even if it worked, this income would be much less stable than from his up content. Only with diversified platforms and ad revenue streams could he make it viable, but that was still a long way off. For now, it was just a hobby and not worth too much effort. The stock market's volatility meant it couldn't be relied on for steady income. At most, he could occasionally seize an opportunity to make a quick buck. Counting on it for consistent income would likely leave him with nothing. More and more words filled the paper, outlining his current situation, future plans, and career prospects. A branching diagram slowly took shape. Xu Qing finally put down the pen, staring at a summary. He tapped his forehead with the pen, realizing with some regret that he really had been drifting through life. Living alone, with no one to feed but himself, had made him lazy and complacent. After all, trying hard doesn't guarantee success, but not trying ensures comfort. The old man had seen right through him. The midday sunlight streamed through the window, casting a small golden patch on the floor. Winter melon lazily lay in that spot, occasionally flicking its tail. Jiang had started cooking the pork ribs Xu Qing had bought yesterday. Wiping her hands, she stood at the kitchen door, watching Xu Qing focus deeply on his notes, staying quiet. For some reason, a sense of peace welled up inside her. This life was pretty good. Xu Qing seemed to feel her gaze and suddenly turned his head, only to see Jiang He's back as she turned away. He smiled, turned back, and drew a big circle on the paper, then wrote down a number. Jiang He was easy to support, but she was also growing rapidly. Life would change. In 2 or 3 years, or maybe less, Jiang He would fully adapt to modern life. If he hadn't met his goals by then and was still in this mediocre state, he'd have to consider the old man's advice and settle down with a stable job. Or, the ribs smell great. How about inviting my mom over for a meal someday? Feeling accomplished, Xu Qing stretched and shouted toward the kitchen, enticed by the fragrant aroma of the ribs. Jiang He agreed readily. After all, she'd had many meals at his mom's place. This was just returning the favor. "Were those cards?" she asked curiously as Xu Qing finished up. "Bank cards for holding money." Xu Qing spread the cards out. "Pick one. You can use it until you get your own." "Don't I already have a wallet?" she said, referring to her WeChat wallet. "It's different. If I give you this card, you'll be curious, then search it up on Baidu, and you'll learn about banks." He picked out an agricultural bank card, knowing Jiang He's obsession with farming. "Take this one. There's no money in it yet. During the new year, I'll give you a red envelope, and you can save the money here. Now, give me your phone, and I'll link it to WeChat." Since her WeChat was registered with his identity, linking the card went smoothly. With verified information, Jiang He took another step toward being a modern woman. Jiang He carefully examined the bank card and put it away. "The food's almost ready. Wash up for dinner." On it, Xu Qing leisurely enjoyed the care of his ancient housemaid. All she needed to do now was warm the bed. He happily hummed a tune while washing his hands. Just as he was about to sit down, his phone rang. "Hello, Qingzi. I'm feeling terrible," came Wang Zijuan's voice. "Funny, I'm feeling great. Come out for a drink." "Nope, I don't want you ruining my good mood." "Call Howsy." Dejected, Wang Zijuan hung up. The sound of a woman calling for dinner in the background made him even more miserable. He muttered a curse and dialed Qin Hao. How's he? I'm feeling terrible. Come out for a drink. Huh? I'm busy, Qinghao replied amidst noisy chatter. Wang Zijun sighed, grabbed his keys, and prepared to go out for a walk. On duty? Where are you? I'll come watch the fun. No, I'm shopping with a girl. Call Qingzi. Hello. Hello. Qinghao called out, confused by the disconnected call. Black fatty, what you doing? A girl shouted ahead. I'm sturdy, Qinghao retorted, frustrated. Ever since they got close, she kept calling him Black Fatty. If not for pacifying his family, he'd have blocked her ages ago. He couldn't stand people who confused sturdy with fat. We'll have another meal tonight. Don't throw out the soup. Tomorrow morning, use it to make noodle soup. It'll be amazing. Xu Qing gnawed on a rib, giving Jiang He instructions. That sounded delicious. Jiang He stared at the rib soup, tempted to make noodles right now. The simple pork rib stew, without fancy seasonings, was clear but flavorful. The meat clung to the bones. One word, delicious. They ate until only a small portion was left. Xu Qing, satisfied and burping, cleaned up the dishes and suggested a walk to digest and meet the neighbors. Should we take Wintermelon for a walk? He asked, hearing the cat meow. Can we? Jiang He thought it was unhealthy for the cat to stay indoors. Probably. Hold on. Xu Qing found a string, tied it gently around Wintermelon's neck, tested the fit, and handed the leash to Jiang He. Holding her hand in his other hand, the three of them headed out. The sun was just right, not too cold, not for Wintermelon. This neighborhood was familiar territory. Incredibly familiar. Before Xu Qing took it in, the big trash bins by the walls had been its dining hall. Does it think we're going to throw it back? Xu Qing asked thoughtfully when he saw Wintermelon hiding behind Jiang He's legs. Throw it back where? Over there. That's where I found it. Jiang He followed his gaze, then walked in the opposite direction. Then let's not go there. The winter sunlight wasn't hot, just warm and soothing on their bodies. They had both eaten their fill, and Wintermelon had just been fed too. Holding hands, they strolled leisurely, as if they had nothing better to do. After a while, Jiang He couldn't help but ask, Do you just like picking things up? No, I only pick up things I like. Xu Qing replied, glancing up at the small flags fluttering around the residential complex. It's almost New Year. You guys have something similar where you're from, right? Before Jiang He could answer, he continued, Well, it's probably not like this. Here, we can eat and drink as we please. In the old days, we'd set off fireworks and firecrackers. Now that's banned, so we just play with them secretly. New Year, it's a day for family reunions. No matter how far away you are, you're supposed to go home. That's why we have the Spring Festival travel rush. Remember that scene I showed you, with all those people packed onto trains? Jiang He said nothing. She looked up through the bare branches of the trees in the complex, sighed, and stared at the sky. My home is your home. I'll take you there to put up spring couplets. We'll put some up here too. It's the first year for us. We should commemorate it. Tomorrow, I'll take you to buy new clothes to wear on New Year's Day. Bang! As they chatted, a firecracker exploded in the distance. Xu Qing glanced over at a group of kids and smiled. That's a firecracker. Just light it, and it goes off. Is it fun? It should be. Wintermelon's scared of it. Next time, I'll get you some sparklers. Now that the winter holiday had started, the complex was livelier. Not only were the local kids free from school, but young people who had moved away would also bring their children back or leave them with their grandparents while they went off to enjoy themselves. Jiang He watched the children playing in the open space, sometimes feeling an unreal sense of calm. Everything was so peaceful, so pleasant. Xiaoyan. Xu Qing spotted Xiaoyan, standing nearby with her hands in her pockets, watching the boys set off firecrackers. He raised his hand in greeting. Suji. Xiaoyan was about to cover her ears when Xu Qing's voice distracted her. Her hands paused just as a firecracker went off with a bang. Her shoulders twitched, and she shot a glance at the boys before covering one ear and running over to Xu Qing. It was circumflex Nigerian Ira. Still scared of firecrackers at your age? Xu Qing teased. I'm not scared. Xiaoyan shook her head vigorously. They're just really loud. Then why are you watching? This is Jiang He Jia. Hello, Jia. Hello. Jiang he squeezed Xu Qing's hand tighter and blinked at the little girl who barely reached her waist. Her twin ponytails swung back and forth, making her look very lively. She's Aunt Cheng's granddaughter. You know, the one who always carries a basket. Xu Qing explained. Jiang he gave a barely noticeable nod. If Xu Qing introduced someone to her, there was usually a reason. Even if it was just a little girl, she took it seriously. In the past 6 months, she had noticed that Xu Qing always acted with purpose. He rarely did pointless things unless they were particularly interesting. Is this winter melon? When Xiaoyan greeted Jiang he, her eyes were already glued to winter melon. After a moment of scrutiny, she exclaimed in surprise. The last time she saw it, it had been a skinny little thing. Now, it had become a big fat cat. Yep, it's growing faster than you. Eat more. I don't want to become a little fatty. Xu Qing joked with her for a bit, then took Jiang he to sit on a bench and enjoy the sun, handing the leash to Xiaoyan so she could play with wintermelon. The neighbors here are all nice people. Aunt Cheng is a bit nosy, but she's really kind. When I was a kid, if I got locked out while my parents were away, she let me stay at her place to watch TV and do my homework. Watching Xiaoyan happily show off wintermelon to her friends, he casually told Jiang he about his childhood. This complex was his childhood home. He moved to a new place with Su Wenbin and his wife for a while, but he came back when he started university. Why did you introduce me to her? Jiang he asked curiously. Don't you think she's cute? Xu Qing looked surprised. She is cute. Jiang he glanced at the bouncing Xiaoyan and asked, is that the only reason? What else? Xu Qing asked back, pausing. I just want you to meet more people. Otherwise, life's too boring. Do you think I have some ulterior motive? Maybe. Jiang he tilted her head thoughtfully, unsure where this strange idea came from. She just felt that Xu Qing always seemed to connect everything he did. Like when he first held her hand, Jiang he looked down at Xu Qing's pig trotter hand, which was playing with her fingers again. She spends every winter and summer holiday at Aunt Cheng's place. Sometimes, she brings her homework and plays with wintermelon. Holiday homework is like a student's job, assignments to do at home. Xu Qing traced her palm lines with his finger, as if reading her fortune, then suddenly said, I think I'm becoming a hand fetishist. What? Jiang he asked, hearing a new term. It means I really like hands. Jiang he paused, then turned her head away. You always did. Maybe. Xu Qing didn't explain that it was because his permissions were limited to hands. If he had more permissions, she'd know what a true scoundrel was. Jiang. Xiaoyan ran over with the cat, starting to say a name, but getting stuck. Xu Qing helped her out. Jiang Hejia. Jiang Hejia, Xiaoyan said sweetly. Then she looked at their joined hands and asked, Are you Su Ji's girlfriend? Before Jiang he could answer, Xu Qing grinned and asked, Do you know what a girlfriend is? Of course I do. What is it? It's Xiaoyan's big eyes widened as she struggled to explain. Her face flushed red, and she finally shouted, It's a girl who's a friend. So cute. Xu Qing smiled at Jiang he and didn't elaborate. Kids shouldn't know too much. It wouldn't be good if they got the wrong ideas. If you like wintermelon, come play with it. He patted Xiaoyan's head gently. You can play with Jiang Hejia too. Okay. Xiaoyan nodded enthusiastically. As the spring festival drew closer day by day, Xu Qing's martial arts journey was finally on track. After several postponements, Jiang he finally began teaching him boxing. Tang Quan was called a fist technique, but it didn't use the fist much. It mainly relied on the palm. According to Jiang he, once you mastered the 3 sharp points, the palm, grappling, and leg techniques, you'd basically be ready to graduate. Why does it look so ordinary? Xu Qing asked as he waved his hand. In her hands, it felt powerful and fierce. In his, it was like an old man brawling. He wasn't even sure if he could beat the lightning 5-strike whip. Tang Quan focuses on quick, decisive moves. It's all about spotting the enemy's weaknesses and striking a killing blow. Look at this move. Jiang he was about to demonstrate when Xu Qing, terrified, quickly shouted, Wait, I haven't learned it yet. Don't use me as a guinea pig. And why would I need to learn a one-hit kill move? You're afraid I won't get arrested? What if I end up killing someone in a fight? Xu Qing practiced the 3 moves she just taught him, kicking and punching, then suddenly asked, "If I learn this, can I beat Monkey?" Jiang paused, puzzled. "Why do you want to fight a monkey?" "Just wondering. I guess I could knock them out with 1 punch." Xu Qing clenched his fist and got motivated again. Luckily, they were on the first floor. No one would come complaining about the noise from his stomping and kicking. Otherwise, the door might have been knocked down by now. Practicing stances helps you commit them to muscle memory. When the moves become second nature, you'll know how to exploit the enemy's weaknesses without thinking. So practice diligently. I know, like how a singer keeps practicing scales and a boxer never stops throwing punches, Xu Qing replied. He didn't know much about martial arts, but he was familiar with that principle. That scene where Jet Li punched the pillar in Fearless, saying, "This punch has 20 years of training behind it." Used to get him so hyped up he wanted to go find a stone slab and start punching every day. He spent his mornings doing stance training, evenings practicing his punches, handling his tasks during the day, and, at night, watching movies with Jiang He or helping her learn pinyin. Writing movie reviews to maintain his online presence made life feel fulfilling. It almost made him think he was the chosen protagonist, eagerly awaiting some evil organization to come knocking, so he and Jiang he could team up to defeat them. Knock, knock, knock. His wild fantasies were interrupted by a knock at the door. Wiping his sweat, Xu Qing opened the door to find Xiao Yan, who came to play with Wintermelon and get some homework help. "Su Gij," she called cheerfully. "Come on in. Is your grandma out again?" Xu Qing ruffled her hair as she entered. "Uh-huh. Bored at home, with her grandpa dozing on the couch in front of the TV, she brought her homework down, supposedly to study, but really to play with Wintermelon." "Jiang He Jijia," she called, not shy at all. "Hello, Xiao Yan." Jiang He greeted her, feeling a bit awkward. A small change to their otherwise monotonous life. Seeing Xiao Yan set her books down and run off to hug Wintermelon, Jiang He asked, "Do you want an orange?" "No, I ate lots of apples at home." Xiao Yan shook her head, then pouted. "I forgot to bring some down." "You don't need to. We have some too," Xu Qing said with a smile. "My grandma bought them. They're huge. I bought huge ones too," Xu Qing laughed. With a guest around, practice was out of the question. Xu Qing turned to his computer to get some work done. His recent Wuxia Confession compilation got double the usual views. Even his later videos with fight scene effects didn't do as well. He planned to strike while the iron was hot and make another one. Maybe even a series, Love, Hate, Betrayal. He could also cover scumbags and iconic scenes from period dramas like, "I think I came at a bad time." "No, you came at the perfect time." 3 people hugging.jpg. Xiao Yan, after lecturing Wintermelon on losing weight, gently petted it and wandered over to Xu Qing. Seeing him typing out ideas on his document, she quickly got bored and ran over to Jiang He. "Jiang He Jijia, are you playing a game?" "No, I'm working." Jiang He's fingers flew over the keyboard, grinding dungeons as a blind monk character. Each run gave her a little more hope that her wallet might soon fatten up. "Let's go." Aeoli gay. Some people had farmed 24 spring festival bundles in a month, earning over 9,000 yuan. After Xu Qing did the math for her a few days ago, she felt endless motivation. 9,000 yuan a month, more than Xu Qing earned. A rich woman's journey begins with farming. What Xu Qing didn't tell her was that those people had over 40 accounts, while she barely had 10. Let Wintermelon help you with your homework. You haven't done a single word. Xu Qing flipped through her homework. It was cleaner than his relationship with Jiang He. Absolutely nothing done. Wintermelon can't do it. Teach it, and it'll learn. Oh, Xiao Yan considered it, then sat on the couch, opened her math book, and started calculating while chatting with Wintermelon. As night fell, Jiang He finished her grind, stretched, and looked over at Xu Qing working on his laptop, Xiao Yan counting on her fingers, and Wintermelon looking miserable. After a moment of quiet, she poured hot water for everyone. "You should look at her homework. Using your brain helps keep you sharp," Xu Qing said, nodding toward Xiao Yan. Really curious, Jiang He picked up a language workbook. Xu Qing saved his video and went over to check on Xiao Yan's progress. I don't know these. Xiao Yin pointed to the tricky problems, pulling the reluctant winter melon back to listen to the explanation. Xu Qing took the pen and examined her homework. This one, Jiang he held the workbook, stealing glances at Xu Qing patiently helping Xiao Yin. The scene reminded her of the old accountant back in the village, who taught her to read in the same way. Except Xu Qing didn't sigh or grumble, and he knew far more than that old scholar. By the time they finished, it was 8 p.m. Xiao Yin reluctantly let go of Winter Melon and said goodbye. Walk her upstairs, Xu Qing said casually to Jiang He. Huh? Oh, okay. Jiang He paused, then grabbed her coat. It's just a few floors. I won't get lost, Xiao Yin said. I'm just worried you'll trip and roll down the stairs, Xu Qing teased. Go on. Xiao Yin carefully climbed the stairs, afraid of tumbling down, like Xu Qing joked. At her door, she knocked loudly. Grandma, open the door. Chung Yulan shuffled over, opened the door, and froze briefly upon seeing Jiang He. Thank you, Jiejia. Bye, Jiejia. Xiao Yin waved. You're welcome. Oh, thank you so much. Chung Yulan smiled like a blooming chrysanthemum as she nodded repeatedly to Jiang He, then closed the door and turned around. Didn't you say you were going to Brother Su's place to do your homework? Yes, and I did a lot. Xiaoyan proudly showed off her notebook. Then why did that sister just bring you back? Brother Su was worried I might tumble down the stairs, so he asked Zhang Hejia to walk me up. As Xiaoyan spoke, she grabbed a big apple from the coffee table and took a big, juicy bite. Sweet. She decided to bring one for Brother Su next time. Oh, that boy is really attentive. Chung Yulan nodded approvingly and looked over her granddaughter's homework. Although she didn't understand much, the densely packed writing showed that Xiaoyan hadn't been slacking off. Write more, and let Xu Qing teach you. Otherwise, if your mom comes and sees you haven't done any homework, she won't let you come play at Grandma's place next time. Got it. Who brought her back? The old man on the couch asked. Xu Qing's girlfriend, the quiet one. Oh, her. The old man pictured Xu Qing and Jiang He walking arm in arm outside. That boy made a good choice. The Su family must be over the moon. I'd be happy too. They look like a young married couple already. They'll probably get married soon. Chung Yulan suddenly let out a long sigh. Time flies. Xiaoyan is already this big, and Xu Qing, that little rascal, is all grown up. How did it all happen so fast? Feels like just yesterday he was running around naked, catching loaches by the river. Hey. No response. Hey. Chung Yulan glanced at him. The old man had leaned back on the couch and was snoring. She wasn't surprised. Picking up the remote, she changed the channel to find a drama. The sound changed, and the old man woke up. Why did you change the channel? You were asleep. I wasn't asleep. I was listening, he argued. Otherwise, how would I know you changed the channel? When Jiang He got home, Xu Qing had already showered and was lounging on the couch in his pajamas, fiddling with his computer. Take a shower and rest early. We're going to buy New Year goods tomorrow. Are we buying outside, or should we buy in my room? Xu Qing shot her a sideways glance. As soon as he said it, Jiang He realized she'd said something dumb again. Before she could fix it, Xu Qing's teasing tone made her grit her teeth in frustration. Oomph. I'm going to shower. She snorted, stomped back to her room, and grabbed her pajamas. I'm hungry again. Want some noodles? Xu Qing rubbed his stomach and called out. Didn't you eat enough at dinner? I did, but I get hungry fast. This is called a midnight snack, he explained. Jiang He worried she hadn't cooked enough dinner. When she heard that, she relaxed. I don't. She was about to refuse when she remembered the fragrant rib soup in the kitchen. Changing her mind, she said, I'll have a little bit. I'll cook it. No, you shower first. By the time you're done, the noodles will be ready, and you can eat and relax. 20 minutes later, 2 steaming bowls of noodles were ready, each topped with a poached egg. Jiang He still hadn't mastered poaching eggs. Hers always broke apart. It must be a talent issue. The clear oil droplets floated on the surface, and the creamy white broth looked mouth-watering. Xu Qing skipped the garlic this time and dug in immediately. Tastes good, right? Yeah. Jiang He smiled happily. She'd learned another trick. 1 batch of ribs could now make 3 meals. When I was a kid, my parents had a fight. My mom stormed off to my grandparents', and there was a big pot of rib soup left. My dad couldn't cook, so he just left the pot on the balcony. Xu Qing gestured toward the balcony. It froze solid overnight. Every day, he'd dig out a chunk and meld it into noodle soup. By the time my mom came back, the soup was almost gone. Wow, really? Jiang, he was amazed. Lazy people have their ways. If that ever happens to you, try it. It's filling and tasty. Xu Qing laughed. Now we have a fridge, so we don't even need a balcony. Let's freeze it too, then. No, just enjoy it once. There are better things to eat. Tomorrow, we'll get chicken, duck, fish, and meat. Chicken soup noodles taste just as good. For some reason, Xu Qing often craved these simple dishes that weren't easily found outside. Hot pot and barbecue were good, but they couldn't compare to the satisfaction of a bowl of noodles. Maybe he just wasn't meant to live a luxurious life. He laughed at himself, took a sip of soup, and felt utterly content. Late at night, the two of them, in pajamas, huddled over the table, happily slurping noodles. When the bowls were empty, Jiang, he regretted not asking for more. Now I understand what it means to die without regrets. Seriously? Xu Qing was stunned. If I can eat a bowl of noodles before I die, I'll have no regrets. Jiang He's expression was solemn. Feeling the warmth in her belly, she licked her lips, savoring the taste. This was a different kind of happiness. Cake made her want to cheer, but noodles made her want to sigh contentedly. I'm still hungry. Didn't you say you only want a little? I even made extra for you. Xu Qing rolled his eyes while cleaning up. You can have more tomorrow. Eating too much at night isn't good for you. You'll get chubby. I'm really not full. I got hungry again after showering. Jiang, he was unwilling to give up. Let me feel your belly. If it's round, you're full. If not, I'll make more. Jiang, he hesitated. Let him touch her belly? She looked down. It wasn't exactly flat. Never mind. I'll eat more tomorrow morning. You could suck in your stomach to make it look flat, Xu Qing suggested helpfully. What's the point of that? Jiang, he shot him a suspicious look. Do you just want to touch my belly? No. I just want to see if you're full. You do want to touch it. Fine, I admit it. What's the harm in thinking about it? Xu Qing took the dishes to the kitchen. Midnight snacks over. Time to play games or sleep. She was definitely full. Dinner had been 2 big bowls, and the noodles just now were another large serving. She was just being greedy. After washing the dishes, Xu Qing checked the time and said, Today was your first day of martial arts practice, so you must be tired. Go to bed early. Good night. Good night. Jiang, he rubbed her belly, slumping on the couch in the same pose Xu Qing always used. People only get greedy when they're full, Xu Qing said as he headed to his room. Before closing the door, he peeked out and warned, Don't sneak into my room in the middle of the night and do anything inappropriate. The door shut. Jiang, he was left staring. Only 1 week remained until the new year. The weather had been unexpectedly good the past few days, with bright sunshine every day, melting away much of the winter chill. Xu Qing looked up at the sky, figuring that in a few days there would probably be a heavy snowfall. What goes up must come down, after all. Snow on New Year's made the holiday feel more festive. You need a haircut. Trim this part and the side near your forehead. Then we'll buy clothes and shoes. On New Year's Day, everything from head to toe should be new. That's called New Year, New Look. As soon as they stepped out the door, Xu Qing began chattering about the day's plans. He took Jiang He's hand and examined it carefully. Want to trim your nails too? Trim? Are they broken? Jiang, he didn't think there was anything wrong with her nails. No, just shape them to look nicer. It's called a manicure. We can get those stick-on ones for you to try. If you don't like them, you can peel them off. Jiang He's nails had only ever been trimmed with clippers. They were neatly rounded and clean, nothing fancy. Happy New Year, Uncle Zhao. Xu Qing called out from a distance, grinning as he led Jiang He out of the main gate. Happy New Year. Heading out. Yeah, to buy New Year supplies. Xu Qing strutted off proudly, though it wasn't clear what he was showing off. Aren't you going back to your mom's for New Year? Uncle Zhao asked. I'll be there too. Celebrating here and there. Ha. Gotta go, Uncle Zhao. Smoke less, okay? This smoke is what keeps me alive. After a brief chat, Xu Qing and Jiang He walked off. Uncle Zhao happily puffed on his cigarette, watching their backs before turning away. That kid sure was living the good life. The trees along the sidewalk were already bare, their leafless branches casting no shade in the slanted morning sun. It looked a little bleak, but the festive atmosphere filled the streets. The shops had hung red lanterns and pasted spring festival couplets, adding a cheerful touch. This was Jiang City, where Xu Qing had lived for over 20 years. He loved showing Jianghe around. See what they're wearing? Those are called bare leg magic tights. They look like bare legs, but they're actually thick. Do you want to try? Across the street, a few stylish women walked by. Xu Qing glanced at Jianghe's jeans, which covered the thermal leggings he'd bought her. No, they're really comfortable. Aren't they cold? Probably not. Xu Qing wasn't sure. He gestured to the women across the street. Look, they're not shivering. Even if they're not cold, I won't wear them. I'm warm now. Jianghe loved her thick thermal leggings. They gave her a cozy feeling. Where are we going? Haircut first. Fewer people this early. They chatted as they walked to the barber shop. Xu Qing was right. The place was quiet in the morning. The barber was watching short videos on his phone, the speaker blasting. And I want to take you to romantic Turkey. Xu Qing's shoulders twitched at the music. The barber quickly put his phone away and greeted them. When he saw Jianghe's long, silky hair, his eyes lit up. Just a simple trim. Simple. Actually, just like this. Xu Qing gestured. Cut here, trim the bangs, and even out the ends. Can I get a haircut like your mom's? Jianghe asked hesitantly. No. What kind of haircut does your mom have? The barber was puzzled by their serious conversation. Was this young guy's mom super trendy? You don't want to know. Just cut it like I said. Xu Qing shrugged. Zhou Suji had a typical middle-aged woman's short haircut. Over the past 6 months, Jianghe had seen all sorts of hairstyles, but she preferred short hair because it was easy to wash. Xu Qing couldn't bear to part with her long, straight black hair. He helped her sit down. In the big mirror, their reflections looked quite well-matched. He smiled. Thin it out a bit. Got it. The barber sighed at the missed opportunity to do a creative cut, but a client's wish was a client's wish. He snipped away as instructed. Jianghe was a bit nervous, but seeing Xu Qing standing by her side in the mirror, she stayed still, letting the barber work. Living here meant getting used to everything. When Jianghe's haircut was done, Xu Qing rolled up his sleeves and asked about the hair washing station before heading over. What are you doing? Jianghe asked. Getting a haircut too. You can't cut your hair during the first month of a new year, so I'll do it now. Xu Qing tested the water temperature and told the barber, Don't worry, I'll do it myself. This was a small, one-person shop. No fancy sales pitches or staff, just a straightforward place. If Jianghe hadn't been with him, he'd have gone to a quick-cut shop where 10 yuan and 5 minutes did the trick. Once his haircut was done, Xu Qing paid and left the shop. They both looked a little different. Jianghe's change was subtle. Her long hair had been heavy and untidy, but now it looked more natural. When they first met, that awkward, out-of-place feeling had included her hair too. Xu Qing studied her for a moment, then nodded. Much better. Where next? Clothes shopping. What about the New Year supplies? We'll buy clothes first, then the supplies. Oh. Jianghe tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Xu Qing took her hand and led her in another direction. She didn't need to think too much. Just follow him. A haircut, clothes, a manicure. She'd become how he liked. And then, she was just a weak girl. Do you have any killing intent? Xu Qing suddenly stopped and asked. What? Jianghe, who had been walking with her head down, looked up in confusion. Following his gaze, she saw a big black dog baring its teeth at them by the roadside. It looked vicious. She instinctively reached for her waist, only to remember she hadn't carried her darts in a long time. We should go around. Xu Qing stopped, cursing the irresponsible owner for not leashing the dog. Step back slowly. It won't come at us. It will. I can kick it to death. Jianghe's eyes locked onto the dog. She slid her toe forward. Can we eat dog meat? Xu Qing was momentarily stunned. That's a bit cruel. Oh, Jianghe looked puzzled. Dogs are our friends. Besides, it's not a stray. If you kill it, there'll be trouble. Your identity is still sensitive. Before Xu Qing could finish, the black dog crept closer. He pushed Jianghe back. Go. People can't let dogs push them around. Jiang he glanced at Xu Qing's hand holding hers. Her eyes narrowed. Let's go. Jiang he pulled him forward. The black dog crouched lower, ready to pounce. A few steps ahead, Jiang He's expression turned cold. She took a step toward the dog. Gore. The beast growled but backed away slightly. Jiang He stepped again. The dog suddenly turned and bolted. Xu Qing was stunned. You really do have killing intent. Killing intent. Jiang He blinked, pulled up her collar, and scrunched her neck, looking innocent. Keep pretending. I just wanted to kick it lightly. That wouldn't cause trouble. Then why did it run away? Xu Qing glanced in the direction the dog had disappeared. What scared it? Maybe it knew it couldn't beat me. Jiang He nonchalantly turned away, shook his hand, and said, Come on, you still need to buy New Year supplies. Xu Qing felt a bit speechless.